And we are live. We're doing a collaboration with Punsh Boxing. We're talking about a vast majority of topics. I will turn my camera on once he joins, but until then, just gonna wait for some people to come in and vast majority of topics. We'll be looking forward to it. We had a great stream yesterday, going live for Danny Garcia and Jose Benavidez went very well. And of course, shout out to my brother Kingpin in the chat who donated as well. Much appreciated for sure. Salute to Cone Gaming. Give me one moment, Cone. I just have to fix something. Give me 1 second. All right, we are back. Shout out to Cone Gaming in the chat. Salute, brother. We had a big donation from one of my buddies earlier on. And we're just waiting for Punch Boxing to join. And we will have a vast amount of topics to talk about. Until then, to salute to everyone in the chat. You guys can bring up anything you want until he joins. To have a quick discussion until then. But yeah, we're going to talk about the Garcia fight yesterday. We're going to talk about Virgil next week and AJ Usyk, Charlo versus Tim Tszyu. A lot of topics coming up. I'm looking forward to it. And shout out to Kingpin earlier for dropping the donation. For some reason, doesn't let me see his chat from previously. But yeah, man, we had a good night of fights yesterday. We had Danny. I mean, he looked pretty sharp overall, but it wasn't anything to go home about. I mean, it wasn't amazing, but he did what he had to do. He was pretty convincing and pretty dominant. And yeah, guys, I don't know what to say for now. Just talking for now, stalling for now. I'm planning on going live a lot more. This definitely won't be the last time I go live. I'll definitely be doing live for Virgil next week as well, so make sure you guys check that out. And more videos to come also, more fight predictions. We're going extra now. We're really starting to post more. We're really starting to put up more content for you guys. And this collaboration is going to be one of many. I have many other collabs planned that will be coming up very soon with other big names. And soon I'll be doing more open panels like I used to in the past where people can join in and talk about boxing. So Cohen says we got the ATG Blair Cobbs versus Hooker this weekend. That's actually a nice fight. It's under the radar. I think that's going to be pretty entertaining while it lasts. I got Mo Hooker winning. I'm not sure if he'll stop Cobbs or not. He'll probably stop him. I mean, if Alexis Rocha, who's not a bum by any mean, but if he's knocking out Blair Cobbs and stopping Blair Cobbs, Maurice Hooker is going to do the same. Maurice Hooker is pretty underrated in my opinion. Deserves more credit. Very solid fighter. I mean, Virgil made him look average, but in spurts in that fight, Maurice Hooker looked really sharp. He looked very good. But overall, I mean, next week it's a little unfortunate the Paul fight's off. I mean, a lot of people were making fun of that fight, but let's be honest, it was pretty intriguing. I was looking forward to it. People were actually picking Rahman to win. I don't think Rahman would have stood much of a chance, honestly, but that's just my opinion. I feel like that he's not the guy that would have beaten Jake Paul at all. I think you look at his career so far, he struggled against fighters he hasn't. He went to a majority decision of a guy that was 3-10. So Rahman was nothing special. Jake Paul would have been able to knock him out, probably within 3 rounds, 4 rounds. I don't think that would have been even as tough as Woodley, which sounds crazy, but I believe that, truly. But aside from that, we have Virgil versus Mckinson, which was supposed to happen already. It's a shame that it got postponed, but Virgil was going through stuff, and now the fight's reset. So I'm looking forward to that for sure. Yeah, I heard James Morrison flatlined him. I didn't see the fight, but he was up on the cards before getting stopped. I don't know if that's the son of Tommy Morrison or not. It may be. I know Tommy Morrison has one son, a separate son, but that may be. I'm not sure if that's also his son or coincidentally has the same last name. Rax in the chat. What's good, my brother? Salute to you, man. If you guys haven't already, check out Rax's channel. He posts great content. Big up-and-comer in the YouTube boxing community. And soon he will be more in the scene, in the boxing scene and in the boxing industry. So give him a check out while he's still new on the scene. You could tell everyone that you knew who Rax was before he became an analyst. So check him out for sure. Thanks for letting me know, guys. Appreciate that. Oh, it was good, bro. I wasn't actually in the Everglades, even though I live right next to it. That was more of a joke that I put Everglades. I was near Hollywood Beach, Dania Beach, Hollywood Beach in Florida. Coincidentally, it's called Hollywood. I don't live there. I live kind of close, but not really. But I just put the Everglades as a joke. I live right next to it, though. I mean, it's kind of connected. I can't really tell. It's a whole thing, but yeah, man. This collab will be starting very soon. Punch Drunk will be joining soon, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We got a lot of topics prepared. We got BT in the chat, the one and only. Got to do a collab with you soon as well, Brendan. You know, on the YouTube streets, on StreamYard as well. I'm doing one of Punch Drunk today. I have some others planned. Hopefully, you can agree to do one as well in the future. Shout out to True School Sports. If you haven't already, check out his channel. He's been on here for a while. He's a big name. Makes great content for sure. I met up with him in New York for the Better BF Smith card. It was cool to talk with him and his father as well. Great dude. Check him out if you haven't already. Yeah, I was by Dania Beach. It was kind of like the Hollywood Dania Beach border. I went jet skiing today. I wasn't in Dania Beach or Hollywood. It was kind of like a stream in the border of that area. But yeah, Dania Beach is cool. On the ocean, there were some really nice penthouse type houses on there. I saw guys with Teslas and all that while I was on the jet ski. It was fun. It was enjoyable. Oh yeah, yeah, pretty much. I mean, if you guys ask any particular questions in the chat, I'd definitely be willing to answer them. But the plan right now is boxing. That's the plan at the moment. Thank you, Rax. Much appreciated, bro. Much appreciated. Yeah, looking forward to you uploading this weekend or this week. Keep up the content. You know, I made a post on Twitter about Danny Garcia versus Tony Harrison, and surprisingly enough, a lot of people were saying that Danny would have a good shot of winning that fight. It's a little surprising that so many people are favoring Danny Garcia to beat Tony Harrison because I'm quite confident Tony Harrison would light him up. He'd hit him with big shot after big shot from the outside, use a jab, and outclass him to a decision. He might get buzzed occasionally, but Danny's power hasn't even transferred to 47, let alone 54. Shout out to Killian Hayes. What's good, my brother? Killian Murphy. Jake Paul is a clown. Come on, Max. This guy fought bums. I hope when he fights Breidis, you don't pick against your fellow European man. He's not going to fight Breidis, first of all, because he knows Breidis would destroy him, obliterate him. Jake Paul, I mean, he's easy to dislike, but when you pay deep attention, it's kind of hard to not respect what he's doing. I mean, he's making money and he's boxing. I mean, there's many worse ways he could be making money. There's many worse ways he could be using his money. And yeah, I'm not even a Breidis fan. I'd probably root for Jake Paul to win, to be honest, for the jokes of it. But Breidis would destroy him. I think we all know that. Yeah, Tony Harrison is definitely underrated. He's sharp, good fighter, for sure. I wouldn't say 120 to 108. I'd say like an 8-4, 9-3. We just outclass him. He'd put on the sharper performance. Give me one moment, guys. I had it 9-3, Danny. 8-4, that's respectable. I'm just setting this up right now. Just give me a quick second. Exactly. I agree with that, Cone. The thing is, I didn't like Jake Paul at all at first because I knew him from YouTube since I was a kid. I mean, he was big on YouTube in like 2017, and I watched those videos. I never subscribed to him. Like, I never liked Jake Paul. I was actually someone who always disliked the Paul brothers, ironically enough. But since they've came into boxing, I say since he knocked out Ben Askren, I think, let's be honest, when he took Floyd Mayweather's hat, I kind of started to become a fan of Jake Paul, as corny as that sounds, because I just thought it was such a comical thing, as staged as it looked. Just the comical effect of him doing that made me become a fan of him. Then when he fought Woodley twice, I mean, yeah, he's not a boxer, but he's still a fighter. Yeah, I sent it, Punch. I sent it. Let me know if you saw it. I sent it to your Gmail. Or I sent it. Shout out to Punch Drunk. He'll be joining very shortly. Check out his channel if you haven't already. If you don't see it sent, let me know. I'll resend if you didn't get it. We appreciate you commenting. But yeah, man, we guys got a nice schedule coming up in the sport. I mean, it's a slow summer, unfortunately, because last summer was actually crazy. I mean, we had Virgil Mean Machine. We had Casimiro Rigo, which was supposed to be a good fight, but didn't live up. We had we did have we had Charlo Castaño too last summer. So we had a lot last summer. Unfortunately, the summer has been a lot weaker. We do still have AJ Usyk too, which I'm looking forward to. Usyk AJ too. We do have Ruiz Ortiz, which I'm definitely looking forward to as well. I think that's actually that fight. I know exactly how I'm predicting it to play out. I'll talk about it with Punch on the stream because I don't want to give it away yet. But I have an exact, precise prediction for that fight that I'm very confident in. I actually saw Luis Ortiz fight live against Charles Martin in Hollywood. It was he got dropped a couple times, but he looked good when he got the stoppage. The whole crowd was rooting for Luis Ortiz because big Cuban population where I live. I get back on the 16th of August, so I only have 2 weeks and 2 days. I'm going into 11th, which some people find crazy. Some people thought I was going into 12th grade. That would be nice, but no, not there yet. Me too, Will. Me too. I think Bivol would probably win that fight quite convincingly. Not dominating, probably like a 9-3, 8-4 fight, but Bivol would outclass him. All right, give me one moment, Punch. Give me a quick sec. Yeah, Rex, it's finishing up, man. Just sending this right now. Just let me know if you get it this time. I sent it twice, so if you don't see it here, then we may have to try something else. But I'm pretty sure you'll get it this time. But yeah, guys, comment anything you want in the meantime. I'll respond to all of it. If you feel generous, the donation button's available as well. We had my boy Kingpin. For some reason, I can't see his chat anymore. He actually donated $100, which is incredible. I mean, it wasn't a donation. It was a collaboration on Twitter, and he didn't have Cash App where he lived, and PayPal was causing issues, so we just agreed to do it through here, even though YouTube does take a cut, unfortunately. Yeah, it's quite short. I mean, it started for me on June 3rd, ends August 16th. That's 2 months and 13 days. It's not even really 2.5 months. They really screw us over, man. It's crazy. But we did have a lot of days off this year. And also, I'm going to have this thing where my GPA was high enough to where, since I have block schedule, one of the 2 days I could miss. I don't have a study hall next year. I'll just be able to sleep in, which is pretty cool. But aside from that, no, I think Boots is a better fighter than Virgil. I've thought that for a long time, and I've told people this for a long time. When people had Virgil above Boots and everyone was telling me Boots would get knocked out by Virgil, I told people Boots is a better fighter. But his resume is still better than Boots, even though Boots is gaining some ground. Looking forward to seeing Virgil back in the ring next week. He's going to win that fight pretty convincingly. I don't think people... I've seen a lot of people on Twitter tell me that Mckinson would beat him. All right, hold on. Yo, Punch Drunk. There we go, man.
What's yo, what's good? Yo, you know what's funny? That the email was going to the spam.
How you been, bro? How you been, man?
I've been good. I'm good. I've been good, young. What's good? What's good, bro? Hold on. Turn this light on. Yo.
There it is.
What's good? What's good, man?
How you been, man? You been good?
Man, I've been great, man. How about
awesome,
you, man?
I've been doing well, man. Just enjoying summer, working, relaxing, having some time off from school. School's coming back, but I've been getting more motivated to upload now. So I'm looking forward to the future. But I hope you've been doing well also, man.
Yeah, man, trying to stay motivated. Trying to stay
Yeah.
motivated in this community. It gets kind of like it's hard to
Yeah.
stay motivated in this community, but pay more attention to just the boxing part.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know if people have noticed, I kind of been distancing myself from the community. Like I've been cool with everyone and all that, but I haven't been, jumping on panels as much. I kind of just been minding my own business because community brings a lot of stress, It brings a lot of stress that it shouldn't bring. I don't know if it's just the boxing community because a lot of these guys that they get so into like the tough guy element of being a boxing fan that they start arguments more, they get angry more. So I don't know what it is in particular, but I do love everyone in the community, but sometimes you have to, take a break from it,
True. Don't take too much of a long break where you lose
Of course.
momentum.
Exactly. So we just had, an interesting card last night. I enjoyed the card personally. I went live for it, which I haven't done for a long time. We had Danny Garcia take on Jose Benavidez. He won by majority decision, which we know is not a majority decision. I mean, how'd you have that fight scored, Punch?
I gave every round to Dennis Garcia. I really didn't have it because I watched it in the restaurant, so I normally didn't watch it. I normally didn't score the way I normally do when I'm at home, but I ain't see one round for Jose Benavidez. I mean, I think it was probably the 9th or 10th round where he tried, but it was still like,
I remember.
Yeah, so I gave it all to Danny.
I gave Jose 3 rounds, but he didn't dominate any. I think maybe 1 or 2 rounds I thought were clear for him, but it was, I don't know what it was because you could tell there were spurts in the fight where he had potential to really make it a fight and he just couldn't capitalize on it. I don't know what it was. I don't know. I think he was so hesitant to really let those hands fly. And Danny, one thing he showed last night that we haven't seen him probably ever do is he actually outworked an opponent. That's a good sign for him for sure, especially at 154 where these guys are bigger punchers. What do you want to see next for Danny Garcia? I mean, they hinted at the Tony Harrison fight. I would actually be a big fan of that fight happening. What do you want to see next, and how do you think it plays out for him?
To be honest, I think any fight top 10 rankings, you know what I'm saying? I think it'll be a good fight. Like him and Brian Castaño will be a firefight because that Brian Castaño is going to come with it. Dennis Garcia likes to counter punch, and I think that it'll be a fun fight. Brian Castaño fight will be good. I think it'll be a good money fight for them too. Tony Harrison fight, I think it'll be good. It'll be way more technical than anything else. I think the Brian Castaño fight will be more exciting. Who else? I mean, J-Rock, 2 Philly fighters. I think that would be a good fight for Philly. I think there's a lot of fights for him. Is Carlos Adames still 154? Or
I think so. His last fight against Sergey, I'm pretty sure was at 150. No, I think he moved up to 160 now. Actually,
okay.
He was in line for Munguia, and that fell through unfortunately. But one fight for Danny I just thought about while you're talking, and this may go either really well for Danny or really bad, like really bad for him, and that's Sebastian Fundora. I mean,
ooh, yeah.
I would expect that to go bad, but you never know if Danny can properly land that left hook, which we haven't seen him do in a while. But the thing is, I don't think his power is really transferred as much as some people act. I mean, he had some moments at 47 with the Granados fight and the Rios fight, but against Red Catch, his power didn't look great. I'm not his powers. It's an enigma because one fight he'll look like this thunderous punch, and the next fight he won't really be able to hurt a chinny opponent. So it's interesting with Danny.
I think where Danny Garcia is actually highly underrated is actually his defense. Like he gets hit, but he don't get hit too much flush, especially ever since he moved to 147. 154, he still wasn't getting hit. I mean, that fight yesterday, he wasn't getting hit like that. And I think that his movement, his positioning, like, he's a flat-footed fighter, but he know how to bend. He know how to bend the waist. He know how to do a lot of tricky stuff in the defensive end. So, his power may not transfer, and that's normal for every fighter. Every fighter that moves up in weight, you got to be some type of special. Like, not everybody is Manny Pacquiao gonna move up in weight and knock everybody out. But but he's coming from 135, so at 154, I'm not expecting Danny Garcia to have more power. But what do I expect from Danny Garcia is to actually punch more than the bigger guys. So I think that's where his advantage comes from if he's going to stay at 154. And as we saw yesterday, that's what he actually did. He outworked the bigger guy. Well, Jose Benavidez comes from a low division too, but it's good to see Danny Garcia throw more punches.
For sure.
And for me, that's good. I think that has been more a critique than his power, and he showed that he threw more punches. So he actually did what his major critique was, outworking his opponent. You know.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I definitely noticed more combinations, more body work, and I did notice the defense. That probably surprised me even more than his work rate, because he was slipping a lot of those shots, blocking a lot of those shots. His defense looked sharp last night, and Benavidez looked very poor. He was taunting, and then he was throwing and then missing, and Danny really capitalized on it. And I'm glad to see that Danny Garcia is hopefully at least taking this 154 route seriously, because there's a lot of fights we want to see. I don't know if you saw, but I know you're a big fan of Keith Thurman, and he posted after Garcia's fight. I don't know if it was more of a call out or just
like
reminding people.
He was rhyming.
He was rhyming, and I would be down to see Keith move up to 154 and rematch Danny, because I think the rematch would be a lot different than the first fight. I'm not sure if he'd win or not, but I do think it would play out a lot differently, both fighters being older and more hydrated.
I would like to see that rematch too. Now, before it was like, see what Keith Thurman is I know a lot of people write him off, but he's still in precision. He lost one time, and people just want him to become a gatekeeper off of one loss. Like, he's not. I can't expect him to be that, or for him to think that way. Like, yeah, get the younger fighters, get the boots in the Virgil while he's in position to get a world title. He's right there. If it's not Bud, it's him. So why do we want fighters to keep on looking backwards? So at this point of his career, I would like to see the rematch, but I would like to know that if he's really not going to get a shot at welterweight, then yeah, move up to 154. And then there's a lot of fights.
Yeah, for sure, because the PBC has pretty much monopolized that weight class. They have all the fighters. So if Keith can't get any opportunities at 47, might as well go to 154, because I bet Al Heyman and all of them could set up a solid fight for him as well. It was a nice undercard as well. I mean, I did have a gripe about the Gary Russell versus Barthélemy stoppage. I thought that was very poor and very unfortunate. Did you catch that fight by any chance, and what did you think about that stoppage?
I saw the ending of that fight. I didn't see the beginning, but I saw the stoppage. So I don't know if he was getting punished in the rounds before. Like, when I started watching the telecast, I watched it from when Antoine, like, it was like 10 seconds before he got that knockout. So I don't know what really happened before. They wasn't showing the highlights. They just went to the next fight, in Kawanaki fight. So I didn't get the chance to watch the whole fight, so I can't really speak.
So what happened in the fight prior was actually very shocking and very surprising. I thought Russell beat him up, dominated him, but if you watch the fight, Russell actually got buzzed a couple times early.
Oh yeah.
In round one, he was somewhat hurt, and the only fighter that was actually getting hurt prior to that 6th round was Russell. But the thing is, Barthélemy was getting tired. It was obvious. And when Russell did catch him, I said on video for stream, the ref's going to stop it. But I didn't mean he was going to stop it there. I meant he was going to stop in like 20, 30 seconds after Russell put it on him. But the ref gave him no chance to continue. I thought it was very poor. But I do think Gary Russell is a very good fighter. And I put on my Twitter, Gary Antoine Russell versus Sabriel Matias. I think that would be a very good fight.
Yeah.
Fans would really enjoy.
The 140 looking like it's looking like the most interesting division. Like, if you really think about the competition, I think there's more 50-50 fights at 140 than any other. If you mix and match, I think there's one more 50-50 fights than any other division right now. You could mix them up. Jose Ramirez and Regis Prograis will get that fight. Cepeda, the Cepeda fight as well. John Taylor, Catterall. People are gonna want to see that fight again because of what happened in the first fight. Then you got guys moving up. You got Tszyu gonna be moving up. Let's see how
moving up. Coleman's, I know he's fighting Pedraza. That fight's at 140, right? Coleman and Pedraza. Pretty sure it's at 140. That's a good fight. I got Pedraza, but that's a good fight. That's a good fight for sure.
140 is good, and these guys at the 135 eventually going to be moving up. So 140 is going to be very, very good.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm also mentioning that 154 has a potential too, because you look at guys like Boots Ennis and Virgil. Those guys are moving up for sure eventually. Got Charles Conwell at that weight class, who I think is very underrated. Israel Madrimov. I mean, 154 and 140. And there's one other weight that I can't remember top of my head. It was 126. I looked at the 126 rankings. That was a weight class that I thought was dead a year ago. You look at it now, it is really interesting. You got Navarrete, you got Ray Vargas, you got Gary Russell, you got Mark Magsayo, you got Dogbe, you got Robesi Ramirez, who I saw in person, by the way, against Nova. Looked excellent. There's a lot of new weight classes that are getting
there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of potential. And then Leo Santa Cruz could move down too if he wants a good fight.
Of course.
So there's some good fights out there, man. Yeah, man.
So,
go ahead.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And next week, I'm wondering your thoughts. Unfortunately, the Jake Paul fight got canceled. I was actually somewhat looking forward to because I thought it was an intriguing fight. You know, it was a fight where there were a lot of people picking Rahman, more people picking Rahman than I expected. But I feel like we all kind of knew in our gut that Jake Paul was going to win the fight. If I'm being honest, did you think Jake was going to win that fight?
I don't know, but I was rooting for him though.
Rooting for him? I thought he was going to win.
You
I thought he was going to win. Because here's the thing. I feel like if Jake Paul is going to lose to someone, it's going to be someone that's a big name. You know, I just can't see him losing to someone lesser known. Even if they are better than him, I just feel like some way Jake would squeak out like a close decision or catch him with something. It's like it's because I'm very cynical as a boxing fan, and you're so used to seeing the unknown fighter either lose or get screwed over a victory that just my gut feeling was telling me that Jake Paul would figure him out. But I was looking at Rahman's resume, and I saw some of his fights, and he was struggling against guys that were like 3-10, and this like he wasn't as good as his record suggested. And Jake Paul is not dumb.
The problem I think with certain boxing fans or whatever the combat community is, they need to stop calling this guy some YouTuber. He's a boxer. The problem is with people is that they don't know that this man he's been training as a boxer with professional sparring for years. So just because he hasn't been fighting, he's doing the same thing with what actually professional fighters do in the beginning of their career. They be fighting them 3 wins, 50 losses fighters and things of that nature. You know, there's fighters out there that's put in front of them so they could look good and take out and stack their resume. He's doing the same thing. So if he's fighting this guy and that's a professional, he's at his 4th, 3rd fight, whatever. I mean, take out the Nate Robinson. You already know he was a baller, but I'm not going to discredit him for beating combat fighters that's actually been ranked high in their profession of the MMA. Yeah, I got to put him up there too. I got to give him respect for that. So I think the problem is people are not respecting Jake Paul, that he's actually serious about this game, and the people in boxing that has worked with him, they know he's serious. I think it's time for the people to get serious.
Here's the truth about Jake Paul that a lot of people aren't willing to acknowledge. This is a guy who has millions upon millions in the bank. He has nothing going on. He's done posting on YouTube like he used to. He's not acting like he used to. He has all the free time in the world. He has all the connections in the world, and he went full in on boxing. And you think he can't become a good boxer? Come on. Come on. He has too many resources. He's already athletic. He's already, been in wrestling and done combat. It's certain that he'd at least be okay. I mean,
he's doing the same thing. Like when there's fighters, the amateur, they start out, they supposed to be 135. Even if they're coming out the Olympics, even if they're coming out from the amateur circuit, their first couple of fights is going to be catch weights. It's going to be in 140. It's going to be 138. It might, come on. Earl Spence fought at 152 or 151 one fight. Keith Thurman fought 152 at one point, but they all from 147. So this happens all the time. This ain't new, and this ain't new at all. So he's actually going about it like if he's a rookie, like a young professional. He's doing the same thing everybody else is doing.
Exactly. You look at all these other fighters, you're not going to see many guys that are 5-0 taking on a guy that's 12-1, son of a former top heavyweight. I mean, he's actually doing a lot better than the average fighter is at this point in their career. And it's respectable. And he's also, helping out Amanda Serrano, and he's helping out these other prospects like Montana Love he did in the past. So I don't get where all the hate comes from. I mean, I could see why people might find him obnoxious and annoying, but it's his brand. It's why people buy his fights. It's why people find him interesting. It's worked for him so far. And I guarantee if you put the average person in his position and they knew they could make a lot more money by acting out as that character, they would. They definitely would.
Check out Brandon Lee, one of the young fighters that I like. He's been on the show too. His first 17 fights has been guys that has no winning record.
Yeah, exactly.
First 17 fights. So think about this. We're talking about Jake Paul. He's going to be fighting in his 3rd, 4th fight with a guy with a winning record. So it's actually starting out kind of good.
Exactly. And Boots Ennis too. I'm a big Boots fan. I mean, he started his career very slow as well. And, I do consider him much better fighter than Jake Paul, but that lets you know that Jake Paul, he's willing to take these risks, and it's something you got to credit him for. Most definitely. Now, who do you think he should fight now that the Rahman fight's off the table? Do you think he should redo the Tommy Fury stuff or look for someone new? Because I think Tommy Fury doesn't want it, for being honest. I don't think Tommy Fury wants it.
I mean, for entertainment value, he gonna have to find some type of name. You know what I'm saying? But if they're gonna have the same event, they're gonna have to. If they're gonna have to Just fight a professional, just fight a pro fighter that probably is, they got a similar record and things of that nature. If they're gonna did they postpone the event or the fight is over?
That's what I'm trying to figure out, because I looked at it on BoxRec. The event is still on BoxRec, but BoxRec's always inaccurate, and I haven't heard if they cancel the event. I hope for the fighters' sakes they keep the event going. They're definitely gonna have to switch it to regular TV, but I do hope they keep the event. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the event's on or off. There's a good chance it's off, unfortunately.
I mean, if I'll get whatever fighter, but I mean, the only disservice is for Amanda Serrano. I mean, like now her career, if you saw is dictated by if Jake Paul is gonna fight. So that's the bad thing about it. Like, you just came from one of the biggest fights in boxing, and it was lucrative and it was a success, and now I don't understand why she's still on a co-main for Jake Paul. I think that's I don't know. I don't agree with that move. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's good or bad, but I don't agree. After that fight with Katie Taylor, she should be main eventing in the next fight, and probably should have done it separate.
I think a big reason partially why she does this is she has credited Jake for a lot of things. I mean, Jake helped give her the biggest payday. And I know the Taylor fight would have given her biggest payday either way, but prior to the Taylor fight, she posted she became a millionaire and she thanked Jake Paul. And that was prior to that. So I do feel that it's an element of loyalty, him being the promoter and business. She probably feels that if she does fight on the co-main of Jake Paul's fight, it is even more coverage and more exposure, especially to casual fans, because a lot of casual fans will watch Jake Paul who've never heard of Serrano. So it could be business, but I definitely see where you're coming from.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know if it's a right or wrong move. I just feel like the momentum that they should have carried that momentum. It's not like Serrano is fighting. Yeah. What was the fight? March?
I forgot. April.
So the fight wasn't the fight was in April. So it's like she has good momentum. Like nobody forgot about her. Still gonna be in New York City, Madison Square Garden. I think that, but them putting her on a co-main, I think you might devalue her, because what you're trying to say is you're still not a main event fighter. Like if this was supposed to be, remember how this fight was promoted? It was promoted to be this is gonna change women boxing. And if after this fight she's a co-main to Jake Paul,
still co-main even after the fight,
then I see where what kind of justice did it do?
Yeah, especially because Jake Paul's not fighting some massive name. I see where you're coming from. So I do want to bring up, because next week we still do have guaranteed fight that I'm more looking forward to seeing him return to the fight, but the fight's still interesting, and that's between Virgil Ortiz and Michael Mckinson. Do you have any thoughts on that fight and seeing Ortiz finally back in the ring after some delays?
Yeah, I think Virgil Ortiz is gonna do well. I mean, Mckinson, he's been in the rankings for quite some time. I think it's a good fight as well. I think Virgil Ortiz is gonna do what he's been doing. Yeah, I think he's gonna do. I don't know. There's certain things about certain fighters that they just got. They got and deliver on everything that they have. Like it's hard. Like I remember with Shakur Stevenson, it's like I want to see more power from Shakur Stevenson. I want to see if he's going to up his game in his next, and he did, right? So just like Danny Silva Garcia, like we was talking about, we're gonna see if he could throw more punches, or he could his power could carry. Adrian Broner, the same thing. If he's gonna throw more punches, right? So I'm looking at Virgil Ortiz, I'm like, he's just doing everything good. He's doing everything right. I don't know what else to, we just looking at the opponent right now. So I think he's going to do the same thing he's going to do. Of course, tighten up on a little bit of the defense, because of course he been getting hit too, but because he's an offensive fighter and he takes those type of risks. But yeah, I think well maybe if he's a little rusty, which I doubt, but I think he's going to do good. I think he's going to do the same thing he did to Mean Machine.
Yeah, I actually think it'll be easier because Mckinson doesn't have the power to keep him off of him. Like, he's slick, he's awkward. Virgil will have to search for him for a couple rounds, but he'll figure him out and he'll get him out of there for sure. Who do you feel is the better fighter / prospect / not prospect anymore, contender between Virgil and Boots, just off of ability from what you've seen, the eye test?
That's tough, because they both different type of styles. You would think that Boots has the bag to adjust to more styles than maybe Virgil Ortiz. I think he got more tools in the bag. But sometimes it's the timing of when you're going to bring it out, how you're going to adjust. I feel that's a tough one. I think Boots got more tools in the bag, in my opinion. So I'll say
I feel that too. I've actually said that for a very long time. Since Boots knocked out Serrano. It was a guy named Raymond Serrano. It was back in like 2019. So I've been high on Boots for a while. I'm looking forward to seeing him fight. Hopefully something gets scheduled soon.
I said the second coming to Roy Jones Jr. People thought it was they was tight. You always trying to hype these fighters, man. So what, man? Let me hype the fighters. Why would I want to sit back and wait and see like most people do?
It's true.
Let me ask you this question right quick. What you think about what you think about this fighter? I call him the Cassius Clay of the UK, Ben Whitaker. What do you think about Ben Whitaker?
You know, I was watching the Olympics back in August, and I'm going to tell you straight up, and I promise I mean this. Ben Whitaker is probably top 3 to top 5 favorite fighter of mine in the Olympics when I watched in 2021. I really like Ben Whitaker. I don't like that he beat probably my favorite fighter, and it's sad because I actually don't remember his name because it's a very long name. He was out of Russia. It was for the silver medal match. It was the second last fight Whitaker had. He won by split, and he beat a guy I really liked, but I was always a fan of Whitaker. I liked his slick style. He looked sharp, and he was definitely one of my favorites. I really liked the last Olympic class. It was probably one of my favorites. I think there was a lot of talent there, more than usual, which says a lot. And Ben Whitaker definitely stood out. Definitely him and Yafai were the 2 best guys from the UK. I do like Ben Whitaker. Very sharp, very slick, and I am looking forward to seeing what he can bring to the equation. Plus, he has a cool name. I mean, Ben Whitaker. It's just it's a marketable name. It just sounds good. You know, Whitaker. He's a good defensive fighter. He has it. He has the goods for sure.
Yeah, I think their team did a good job in identifying exactly what they need to have in the professional level, and they went with Sugar Hill. So I'm like, when I heard that a couple months ago, I was very, very happy that he's training with Sugar Hill. And you saw the performance yesterday?
I actually did not see the fight, unfortunately. I was tired.
Oh, so it's like it ended in the second round. Why?
I heard.
Yo, but. And I said this before. I said he gonna be people, and people thought the same thing. Like, yo, you're already putting these up in the pedestal. I'm like, yo, at his height, his weight, the way he moves, watching the professional level, watch he's gonna catch some. He's gonna catch some good.
There was a fighter in the Olympics that I'd recommend you checking out. I don't know if he's going pro yet, but he's young. I believe he's 20. He got silver medal. He lost to
from Ukraine.
No, he's actually Filipino. He got the silver medal. He lost to Yafai in the finals in a very close fight. His name is Carlo Palam. I don't know if you heard of him. If you can, try rewatching some. He looks so good in the Olympics. So sharp. Very good fighter. I don't think he has any pro fights coming up, but he's very young, which is a good sign. He looked extremely sharp in the Olympics. This Olympic class, I don't think I've ever had more fun watching the boxing Olympics as I did last time. It was so fun. And did you hear that they're getting rid of it in 2028? Absolutely disgusting decision that they're getting rid of the Olympics for boxing Olympics for 2028. Absolutely disgusting choice.
Yeah. But you know what? You know, as much as, you know, people like to blame it on the industry and boxing, you know, I think, you know, and I know lately I've been like going at the fans of boxing. I think we need to take accountability, man. You know, I don't think that collectively, I'm not saying everybody, but I'm saying collectively, when we're not holding boxing down, and this is what we was talking about in the beginning about the community, is that we're doing everything to devalue the sport of boxing, devalue the fighters, you know, and then here comes a fight. It's like how many channels or how many people on Twitter you heard downplay Danny Garcia versus Jose Benavidez. Then the fight comes on Saturday and everybody capitalizing off it. Everybody go live stream, capitalizing. They get donation, they get their super chats. Everybody. But I thought y'all was downplaying this fight and downplaying what PBC is doing. But yeah, I know how to capitalize off these fighters. But they get in the ring, you know, killing them. I mean, you know, putting their life on the line for pure entertainment. But then we do everything to devalue it. So then we sit back and worry about the numbers and think that people are supposed to respect the fight. That's why I believe that's why boxing is getting the way it's getting. That's why you hear promoters saying, well, Josh Taylor brings nothing to the table.
Yeah, exactly.
There is no accountability going nowhere, but the boxing fans also got to hold themselves accountable, you know, where boxing is going. The numbers reflect on us.
Exactly. And, you know, when you mention the industry, here's my stance on when people say boxing's corrupt. Every single sport to exist is corrupt. But what makes boxing less corrupt than the other sports is it's the only sport where people actually know it's corrupt. I mean, if you basketball, football, all these sports are extremely corrupt, way more corrupt than boxing, but no one knows. They hide it so well. That's why I actually respect boxing, because at least they don't hide it as well. So at least fans are aware of the corruption. Are way more. Here's one thing. It's not easy to rig a boxing fight. I mean, trust me, it's much easier to rig a football game than it is to rig a boxing fight. People don't even think about that. There's genuine times where fighters that, when you look at the promoters and when you look at the matchmakers, a fighter's not supposed to win, but they can't stop him from winning. They can't tell him to lose because it's too easy to catch them. And that's what makes boxing more respectable, in my opinion. Fans can actually see that there's corruption in boxing, while other mainstream sports, they have more corruption, and it's very hard to tell. They cover it up so well.
That's bothering, because how we know this is right there, so we could see nothing behind the scenes. Well, there's things behind the scenes, but we see a lot of what's going on in the sport of boxing. But then the fans act like they don't know what the hell is going on. Yeah. Like, how many times do it with the people in boxing? In reality, you sign a contract of the week of the fight. You don't sign a contract when, let's say, Bud Crawford and Earl Spence is announced. All right, they're going to be fighting in November. Let's just say it does. It gets announced today. The contract is signed in the fight week. This is the reason why we see Ryan Garcia and Fortuna change the weight, because now they're really signing the contract. If it was a contract before, now you got to come in 140, whatever, about 135. But there's a lot of things in the sport of boxing that a lot of people don't know, don't want to know, understand, but don't want to understand, and they like playing the fool.
Exactly, for sure. And it's unfortunate that we just can't. The sport just can't work out perfectly, but that's life. That's how it works. But anyways, I do want to know your thoughts, because I do know that you know him and you get along with him. Teofimo Lopez, his return, August 13th. It's been a while. He's finally coming back. He's taking on Pedro Campa, and I'm going to tell you this. I have a sneaky feeling Campa is not going to win, but he's going to make it tougher than we expect. These fighters who aren't known, when they're from Mexico, they always bring it, and they always have good chins. They always have good power. It's a risky comeback fight for Teofimo, more risky than people realize. And I see him winning, but he's going to have to – he can't just – it can't be the Teofimo that fought Kambosos. It can't be. Has to be a good version of him.
Like what you just said is exactly how I feel 100%. I saw 5 fights of Pedro. So he's not walking the park. If you don't come prepared, you're gonna have a tough night. I'm gonna say it like this. Teofimo Lopez, I saw Teofimo Lopez, when was it, on Thursday? So I'm training and things of that nature. He looking positive, he looking happy. The good thing about it is he looked happy. That's one thing. Yeah. And I'm gonna say it like this: Teofimo Lopez hasn't even been happy even after winning Lomachenko. You know what I'm saying? So, of course, people know he was going through things, and I don't mention it because it's not my place at one, unless that he says certain things that right now we can talk about it. But he's in a good place right now, man. He went back to Jersey. He's in Jersey, so he's isolated. He's far in Jersey. Like, man, even when I was driving, I'm like, damn, I thought you was a little closer than this. So he's isolated. He got Jorge Rubio doing a good job. Even Jorge Rubio saying the same thing. Jorge Rubio said, man, I've been around a lot of boxers all my life. I've trained a lot of good boxers and Cuba here, been around them, but I never seen an athletic person like a Teofimo. Like he's gifted in that sense. The only thing that will deteriorate him is his mental. And everybody that's around the team, that's the thing that they'll say. They not worried about his skill set. They're not worried about his drive, his determination. Is where he's at that around fight night, fight week, or fight day. Where's his mental at? And I think that's the only thing that people can't control. Not even his father. But everybody, that's what everybody's paying attention to. But right now, while he trained, I saw him. He looked locked in. And he looked happy, and he's working hard. So I think Teofimo Lopez is going to turn up. That's what I think.
For sure. I hope so too. I went to the same gym that Teofimo used to go to, not when he went, after he went, like a year or two after he left in South Florida. And I only heard good things about him. I've known about him for a very long time, even before I went to the Olympics. And I've been high on him for a while. And I feel that Teofimo at his best is a real threat, and a threat to every single guy at 140 when he's at his best. I mean, Teofimo that fought Lomachenko, that's a pound for pound level fighter. And we all know that that's not the Teofimo that fought George. We know it's not. People don't want to admit it. People want to say, oh, you're taking credit away from George. Yes, he still got a great win, George, but we know that that's not the same Teofimo. It's the truth. It's not an opinion. And it's unfortunate that he had to happen, but I knew from the start that the weight cut was killing him. I think it was obvious. Yes, people talked about mental, but for that fight, he cut so much weight. He killed himself nearly to make that weight. And I hope that going up to 140 will help. He'll still probably be drained because, yes, it's 5 pounds, but it's only 5 pounds. He'll make it, but he still probably won't feel full perfect, but I'm glad he is finally moving up, and I'm excited to see what we could do after Pedro. There's a lot of fights that can be made for him at top rank. I'd like to see him take on a Jose Ramirez, a Jose Zepeda, Arnold Barboza. There's a lot of good fights for Teofimo, and I really do hope that after this fight, assuming he gets past Pedro, which I do think he will, some of those fights can get made.
Yeah, the problem that people also don't understand is the level of postponement, and the people just take people just see the level of postponement, but people don't understand that those postponement, you have to readjust your schedule in your training camp. You got a 10 to 8 week training camp. You're gonna cut weight for this much, and you're gonna spar these bodies of either heavy, either the lighters and stuff like so people have a schedule, and once you postpone it, all right, let me eat more because I've already been cutting weight. All right, so he's all over the place. So that time, if you would have fought Kambosos before the COVID, man, he was in the best shape I've ever seen in my life. After that, I already knew when, even in fight week when I was with him, I'm like, he's like, yo, I never felt like this. I felt quadruple worse than I ever felt in my life. I said, damn, and that was on a Wednesday. On a Tuesday, Wednesday. And then that fight night, Friday night, I said, man, this guy, I told him, like, yo, you sure you gonna step inside the ring? Man, I got to, man. I said, yeah, all right, man, but he was looking, he ain't look like he was supposed to step aside. And I said it to Nest boxing voice. I texted him, I said, because he was going to bet. I'm like, I don't know. I don't think he should be inside that ring. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, for sure. And when you looked at round one of the fight, it looked like he was starting the round really good. And I was saying to myself, yes, he's ready. And I'd like to see it. I didn't dislike George. I was just rooting for Teofimo. I'm like, all right, here we go. Nice start. He's going to put him away. I could see it. The body language, Teo looks good early. Then he got caught. And right when he got caught and dropped, you could just see the whole. That's when Teo probably said to himself, oh, man, I knew this weight cut and I knew all this stuff going on me. It's catching up to me right now. I feel it. You could tell.
See, I was the opposite. And people around me thought I was like, yo, what? I thought that's your boy. I was like, no, from the beginning. I was like, no. I was like that. Even the media folks was like, yo, nah, he gonna get him. And people was hype. And I was like, no, yo, chill, relax. And boom. And then I'm looking at everybody else, people looking at me like, I said, man, I told you need to chill. That's not the way he fought the fight.
Exactly.
This kid the amateur.
You could tell he wanted an early knockout more than he's ever wanted it. And that was a little nerve-wracking. When I saw that, I said to myself, if he doesn't put him away early, it's going to be a really tough night. And I knew that even prior to the fight. I knew about the weight cut. But what's really weird, and it's rarely happened, is in round 10, before he dropped George, I literally said he's going to drop him. Like I predicted, I just felt that my guy was going to put him down. And when he put George down, I'm like, all right, there we go. He figured him out. It's a war, but he may get him late. And then he almost put him away, and then George regrouped, and George ended the fight strong. And it was a close fight. I actually wasn't scoring it, but it was a close fight. But you could sense that George edged it. You could sense George just nicked it out.
Yeah, I scored a draw, but if it was going to go somewhere, it would have been on Kambosos.
Especially because you could tell by the body language after the fight. It's not that Teo thought he lost, but you could tell that if any fighter deserved it, you could just see from their looks and their expression, it was George. But speaking of George, since we're on the topic, he's fighting Devin. He's rematching Devin Haney. What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts on that rematch? One of the most unnecessary rematches I've ever seen. What do you think about it?
I mean, look, they signed a contract. I feel like I get it. For Kambosos, I think it's good for Kambosos. I think it's good for Lou DiBella. I mean, they constructed a contract to be like that. But we all know that it doesn't warrant a rematch. So I mean, I got mixed. It's mixed emotions because I don't want to contradict myself in other fights that I might say the same. I might have said the same thing, but you know why? Because one thing is Kambosos was undefeated and he was a champion. I always feel like a champion should get an undefeated champion should get his opportunity to get his belt back. I don't think that's it, that he should just be put back in the list or whatever like that. I think an undefeated champion should get his rematch. You know what I'm saying? So, like, let's say, what was one? Like, let's say I believe that if Keith Thurman was healthy, he should get there. He should have got the rematch with Manny Pacquiao because he was an undefeated champion, a top welterweight. So he should get the rematch. But of course, then we want to see a unification bout. I feel like I understand Kambosos in that sense, but the performance and the value of the fight, I don't know, man. That's why I wish that Devin Haney was more sensational and spectacular and entertaining, because even people will be glad to see him step back in the ring, even if it was George Kambosos. You know, I don't know. I don't want to see the fight, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I look at it like that too. I mean, we know George is a strong fighter mentally. He has determination. He has a great work ethic, and he's going to go all in training. And I am a little curious to see if George really goes bonkers and really brings it to Devin. But let's be honest. If you look at this fight objectively and honestly, Devin's going to outbox him once again. He's going to outfight him. He's going to pick him apart. But you never know. George, he does have that heart. Shout out to Justin Case, by the way. Thank you very much, brother. Honestly, the reason that I'm against this, I mean, obviously I'm not against it. It's more just as a fan against it, is because the way this fight played out, there's very few other ways it could play out. When a fighter outclasses a fighter that way, a fighter who's not the biggest puncher, by the way, in George, he outboxes him. He wins the fight clearly. He has very few moments where he struggles or has any issues. It's a fight where you know that that's a almost guaranteed outcome again. You know that he's a better fighter than George. He proved it. It's not like an AJ Ruiz thing where, yeah, AJ got destroyed in the first fight and dominated, but we've seen AJ demolish these great fighters. You've seen Ruiz lose to Joseph Parker. We know that AJ, that's not the outcome you're going to get every fight. But Devin versus George, I could see that outcome happening multiple times. George,
so you don't think that George can make any type of adjustment? Because I actually believe that George can make an adjustment. I think, to be honest, even in the rematch, I think that George is going to do better.
Of course, you can make adjustments for sure, but the question is, will they be enough? Because the skill disparity, I feel like it's enough to where Devin, even if George makes some adjustments, like here's one, he needs to go to the body more for sure. He needs to go to the body more. He needs to get more physical. He needs to push Devin back, get him on the ropes. There's a few key things that every fighter should do against a mover and a boxer. But even if he capitalizes on those, I still don't think he'll be able to win even five rounds. I actually think Devin's going to win more wide, personally. That's my opinion. I hope not, but I actually think Devin's going to win a little more wide this time. I think he may even buzz Kambosos late.
I hope so. That's what I hope. That's what I'm looking. See, it's like we was talking like earlier, like what we expect from a fighter. How, you know, I'm looking for Devin Haney to show some power. I'm looking for Devin Haney to almost like Mike Tyson said about when he was trying to talk about Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. It's not that he's better, but Manny Pacquiao just more sensational. I think that this fight and this rematch, if you're going to go through with it, if you know you levels above him, look sensational, man. Get your brand up, you know? Adopt that fan base. You know, that's an Australian market right there that's up for grabs right now, where you could do it, you know? So I think that he should go for it in that sense. Of course, you got to get the W. You got to get the W, but I think that he should do for himself, man. Don't play it too safe. Go out there. You got the skills and talent. You know how to put those punches together. You know how to move. You're defensively sound, and I think that he could do it. When I say, and I know when I say that he's boring, but he also got a winning style, and he's elite.
Yeah.
Like right now, Devin Haney to me is an elite fighter. But
for sure.
if you levels above, just like we look at any other fighter, man, you should don't knock him out. You don't got to knock him out. But at least you could do what Shakur Stevenson did to Oscar Valdez. You could hurt him, you could drop him, and go and take it to a decision. But you know what I'm saying? I think he has the skills and talent to demoralize George Kambosos. So show up.
Here's how I look at Devin too when it comes to his entertainment value. Devin's a fighter that has potential to be entertaining. I mean, I personally enjoyed the Linares fight. I even enjoyed the JoJo fight, which not everyone did, but I did. But also has potential to be very boring. I mean, no one enjoyed the Gamboa fight. I mean, not many enjoyed the Giovanni Santiago fight. That fight was a little better than the Gamboa fight, but it wasn't that great. But as I said, the Linares fight was really fun. The JoJo fight was pretty fun. If we can get that version of Devin, and I'm not saying a Devin that's trading or getting buzzed, but maybe say he's up after the 10th round, 9 rounds to 1, maybe even 10 rounds to 0. He's dominating George. He's outclassing him. You can start to push him back a little bit, throw some combinations, start to batter him up a little bit. I mean, we saw young Floyd. He gets compared to Floyd Mayweather all the time.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah. You look at young Floyd Mayweather. Young Floyd Mayweather was such a fun fighter to watch. Pretty boy Floyd, that guy was hurting guys. He was, I mean, can you imagine Devin Haney fighting someone like Arturo Gatti and absolutely busting him up and making him quit in 6?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying he's not capable of it. He just
he won't do it.
He hasn't attempted to do something like that. And if he can do that, because I do think he probably is capable, not of making George quit, but of really demoralizing him. Say, as I said, the later rounds, really pouring it on and beating him up. he will earn a lot of respect from the fans for sure. Most definitely.
And that's what I want. I think that he had, and why I say, and probably you say it too, is because we see the talent. He has the talent and the bag to do that, you know. And that and I always see people like to compare Devin Haney to Shakur Stevenson. To be honest, I don't even compare them anymore. You know why? Because even when Shakur Stevenson actually apologized, when he apologized before the hearing fight, you know, when he went to IG because of the performance, it was boring. He should have done more because of the level of competition that was in front of him. You know what I'm saying? And look what he did. He made a statement versus hearing a champion, respectable champion.
Yeah.
Then back to back, he look what he did to Oscar Valdez that beat the you know what I'm saying, the Terminator and Miguel Burchell. So it makes him look. So for me, when people say now Shakur Stevenson is boring, now he's not boring. He showed that he's not boring. He showed that he showed power, and he showed it when the brights was lighter and when it meant the most. To two fighters, he showed up. You know, so that's why. That's the reason. Look, that's the reason why now we look at Shakur Stevenson and put him in 135, and we still put him top 5. We see that he could compete with Tank, right? Probably higher. We see that he could compete with Tank, Loma, Devin, anybody at 135 because what he did in that lower class. See, if I tell you, how do you think about how Devin Haney would do it at 140? You like shit? I don't know.
He wouldn't beat Josh Taylor. If we get the Josh Taylor fought Jose and that fought Regis, not the one that fought Catterall, he's not beating Josh Taylor. Jose Ramirez, that's a good fight. Him versus I wouldn't pick him to beat Prograis yet, but him versus Jose Ramirez, I'd say is probably 60-40 Ramirez.
Antoine Russell.
I mean, if you saw Antoine Russell against Rancis, you may actually start to, you'd be surprised. He got buzzed a couple. I actually had him down 3 rounds to 2 after 5. I mean, it was pretty surprising. But prior to that, let's say the one that fought Giovanni Santiago, I'd probably pick Gary Antoine Russell because Gary Antoine Russell looked great against Giovanni and Victor Postal. But I definitely see where you're coming from. And here's the difference, in my opinion, between Shakur and Devin Haney. They're both ambitious fighters. They're both willing to take risks and fight good opponents. They both have dog, but the difference is Shakur has more dog. That's the difference between him and Devin. I'm not saying Devin doesn't have some dog because I feel like it hasn't been truly tested. But we know Shakur has dog. We saw it in the Valdez fight. We saw it in the Herring fight. We know he's willing. We know he's willing to dig deep and push himself the extra mile to make a statement. And that's what's really won me over Shakur. I mean, I've always liked Shakur, but I respect him even more, especially after that Valdez performance.
Exactly, and I think that he's highly capable of doing that versus George Kambosos. That's what I'm saying. That's all because he's capable of doing that. Let's see if he does it.
Of course, he's a good fighter. I mean, we saw what he did against Zaur Abdullayev. I mean, Abdullayev just knocked out Jorge Linares, and he made Abdullayev quit in 4. He battered him. He outclassed him. He has spurts. I mean, the Antonio Moran knockout. He looked like one of the biggest punchers in that weight class that night. I don't know what happened since then. I mean, he's shown very little power since then, but that was my knockout of the year. That knockout was beautiful.
It was that one or the Dominic Brazil with Deontay Wilder.
It was video about it. And Wilder Ortiz and Chisora Spielka. Those are my 4 favorites that year. That year had some nice knockouts, but that one for me, that was my favorite because he threw a full-on haymaker. It was an aimed and calculated haymaker, but it was still a haymaker. He had him flush. His head spun around like 3 times, and he went down. I mean, have we seen Devin show that type of power, even close to that type of power since then? It's a shame because he looked so good that night.
Yeah, man, I don't know, but we'll see. You know, at the end of the day, he's young. You know, he's not a 32-year-old fighter where that's it. He can't get better. He can't get stronger. I think now, you know, just like with Shakur Stevenson, we're going to see where their power, how they filling up as a grown man.
Yeah, for sure. So I do want to ask you also, because the biggest fight in August is happening on August 20th. That's the main fight. It really coming up in general. It's been announced. I'm looking forward to it.
I thought they changed the date or something like that.
For Usyk AJ?
Yeah.
Did they? I didn't hear about that. I heard that it took them a while to find a broadcaster, but I didn't hear them postpone the fight. Did they?
I don't know. I think so. I don't know. Let me check. I gotta check.
Yeah, but
well, anyway, let's say
postpone it. Yeah, someone in the chat will let us know. They always clutch up for us, but if we're being honest, that is a really interesting fight, especially because it's in Saudi Arabia. I mean, we saw AJ in Saudi Arabia looked much more focused against Ruiz, looked much more powerful. He looked like the AJ of old. He looked sharper. And I'm wondering, you know, if Usyk did look good. I know a war's going on, so a lot's on his mind, but will Usyk be able to repeat that performance? And will he get a decision if the fight's closer? Because I do think AJ is capable of tightening the fight up from the first time.
I think we saw a perfect Usyk versus Anthony Joshua. You know what I'm saying? Even when he first campaigned in the heavyweight division with what was it, Washington and then Chisora?
No, it was
it was in Chicago, but
it was Witherspoon.
And after that performance and Chisora, people was like, we don't know how he's gonna be versus the elite fighters, but then look how he showed up. So I think that Usyk is going to be the same Usyk. I don't see he's going to gain more power or anything like that nature. I think he fought a perfect fight, and I think that Anthony Joshua has the capability of making adjustments. We've seen that before. We've seen him make adjustments in the ring as well, even when he's about to engage in a war, and then he goes, wait. That's what he did in the second fight with Ruiz. You know what I'm saying? So he's become a thinker. Maybe he's overthinking stuff, and I think that's what happened with the Usyk fight. You know, I think he overthought what he should do or how could he approach this fight. I want that AJ to fought Povetkin. If that AJ that fought Povetkin that was elusive, that was jabbing to the body, that was setting his punches up, that threw some combination, show some footwork and pivoting, I think that Anthony Joshua could still come out. And I believe that Anthony Joshua is very, very hard to beat for anybody, including Tyson Fury. That Anthony Joshua is very hard to beat. But yeah, I think I got Anthony Joshua winning in the rematch.
Interesting. Do you have him knocking him out or on points?
I got him hurting Usyk, but I don't know. It's tough because Usyk is tough too, man.
Yeah.
But if I've seen enough of Usyk in the rematch, I mean in the amateurs, and see him get buzzed, and yes, he's been checked before. He's been dropped before by smaller guys. I think if AJ lands a good flush and then he gets on him after getting him hurt, I think AJ was going to become a three-time heavyweight champion of the world.
But you do mean the amateurs dropped by smaller guys? Because I don't.
No, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I do see AJ having a good shot in the rematch. I actually picked AJ to first fight on points, surprisingly. I thought it would be a fight where he'd hurt Usyk and keep him at bay, and he'd just keep hurting him and edging out close rounds and win a close decision. But here's why I'm confident in picking, not confident, but comfortable in picking Usyk. I feel out of every fighter in the sport, he's probably the most mentally tough fighter in the sport. I mean, this guy can travel anywhere and will get the same Usyk. He could fight any style, and he won't crumble. He won't get nervous. Chisora threw everything at him at the kitchen. I mean, he threw everything but the kitchen sink at him, got rough, got physical. He adjusted. He figured him out. He travels anywhere. And here's why I think he'll beat AJ. I do feel we'll get more of an AJ off of Povetkin. He's going to not balloon up in weight, but he's going to go up in weight. He's going to get heavier. He's going to go for that knockout. And what I feel is going to happen, he's going to go out all out early. He's going to look good early. He's not going to drop Usyk, but he may buzz him. He may push him back. He's going to tire. He's going to tire in the third or fourth round. Usyk's gassing. He's going to turn it up. I think he's going to start to beat up AJ, and I actually think he's going to stop AJ in the seventh. I think it's going to be a lot like the Ruiz fight. I think AJ is going to go out too strong early. His gas tank is very untrustworthy. Usyk's gas tank is trustworthy. I see him getting stopped in the mid rounds. I just have a strong feeling.
I think that was the fault of AJ. If you know a guy that's ballooning up and he's trying to muscle up, put some 20 pounds of muscle up in a fast period of time, then with all of that, he should be slower. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you're supposed to attack him in a way to get Usyk tired. Forget about AJ getting tired, but Usyk supposed to be getting tired. If he's gonna balloon and put a lot of muscle, he should be looking slower and things of that nature. So I think in the beginning, Anthony Joshua should go at Usyk, not box with him. You're not gonna outbox Usyk. Ain't nobody gonna outbox Usyk, maybe unless if you're Tyson Fury, but even Usyk is a prestige boxer. And I agree with you 100%. Also, you could travel all over the world. He's been doing it in the amateurs. That's why these guys are so comfortable fighting away, like the Lomachenko. They're so comfortable because they've been fighting everybody, any style, anywhere, any place. That's what they do.
Exactly.
I think Anthony.
You go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that's why, but I believe that Anthony Joshua is smart enough. He made the proper adjustment for himself. In the as hiring new coaches and things of that nature. Like, even after the fight, he came over, he was searching. And that's a good sign. There's other fighters that they stayed down, they took a loss, they find excuses. And that's another thing. Anthony Joshua don't find excuses. I lost. Now I'm searching for that. I'm searching for that missing piece, And when you see a fighter already like this, accepting his loss, so it makes him go right away to the drawing board and and make those type of adjustments. And we saw he did what happened to Ruiz. So I believe that Anthony Joshua is very persistent to make an adjustment, to look better, to look greater. And I think the upsides of the rematch, I think AJ got it more, and I think I seen the perfect Usyk.
It's definitely possible. I mean, AJ is a fighter who is always looking to learn, always looking to improve. He's humble in that aspect to where he'll take criticism, he'll take advice. And, AJ's been one of my favorites for a while, just like Usyk. I've always been a big AJ fan. And if anyone's going to pull off this type of victory, it is AJ. But I just feel that stylistically, I think Usyk's kind of got his number. Now, not fully. We know AJ can change it up, but AJ's not winning a decision, in my opinion. Even if he does tighten the fight up, I think he's going to lose to the point to where they can't give it to him. Mm-hmm. He may be. I feel the only way he beats Usyk is if he knocks him out. And Usyk has such a good chin. He's smaller than AJ, but he has a very good chin. He's very good at evading work, including AJ's work. And I see him outlasting AJ in this fight. But it's going to be a very good fight. It's going to be. I think it's probably a little even more intriguing than the first fight, which says a lot because the first fight was really intriguing. I think this fight is extremely interesting, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what both fighters can do. And when you mentioned the AJ that fought Povetkin, and then you mentioned Tyson Fury, I feel the only AJ that's capable of beating Tyson Fury is that version of AJ. And I actually think that version of AJ has a better chance of beating Fury than he does beating Usyk, just stylistically. And speaking of Tyson Fury, I honestly strongly believe that Tyson Fury will not fight Usyk if he defeats AJ, but he will fight AJ if he defeats Usyk. What do you think Tyson Fury will do, assuming either fighter wins this fight?
I was gonna ask you a question for you to actually probably lead up to that, because I was gonna say because we picked the technical side of things on who may win, but we were talking also about the politics or the corruption. What would you think boxing will want? Would you think boxing won Tyson Fury versus Usyk or Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua? And that leads up to the question you asked me. So I do think that Tyson Fury will come out and fight if it's Anthony Joshua, and if it's Alexander Usyk, I think he'll stay retired. My opinion.
I agree. Tyson Fury, he's a fighter that I will be a fan of one day and not a fan of the other day. I mean, he's doing some exhibition fight against a guy named Thor, who I've never even heard of. I mean, I don't know what Tyson Fury is doing. I know he's going to make some money out of that fight, but he says he's retired one day, threatens to come out of retirement, he calls out a fighter another day. I mean, he's the most in and out fighter I think I've ever seen in the sport, and it's entertaining to an extent. When he fights guys, when he fought Wilder 3 times, we all like Tyson Fury because, yeah, this he's taking on Wilder over and over and over. Got to respect it. But now when it comes to Usyk, he's throwing up all these barriers and all these walls to stop the fight from happening. And it's unfortunate. And when you ask that question, for sure, Fury AJ is the fight boxing wants to see more, guaranteed. I mean, they were talking about that being the biggest fight in British boxing history, and British boxing is huge. It's almost as big as American boxing. So if it's that big, it's a massive fight, a massive fight. And yes, Fury Usyk would be a big fight, but it wouldn't touch the levels of it wouldn't reach the stratosphere of AJ and Fury at all.
I think, and I understand what you said about Tyson Fury, but I also think that we forget sometimes about the strategy behind that. Almost every great fighter is saying what Tyson Fury is saying. Mike Tyson said it with Galata. This is going to be my last fight. I'm not fighting nobody no more. Muhammad Ali said that. That said, I'm going to retire. It's going to be my last fight. Oscar De La Hoya always contemplating like, this might be my last fight. I don't know. So you could come out.
Pacquiao did that for years. I mean, we thought he was going to retire after the 3rd Bradley fight. I remember everyone thought he was done. I thought he was done. Then he came back.
Yeah, so I think I've seen a pattern that's become a strategy of that's it. Ryan Garcia said that. That's it. I'm gonna retire. You know what I'm saying? A lot of fighters say that.
Yeah, he said he's done also. Yeah, and then he came back a few months later and fought Emmanuel Tagoe. So
Deontay Wilder said that. So I think it's a strategy. So when they do fight, the numbers are bigger. People come out. You know what I'm saying? So Tyson Fury, he's saying a lot of stuff. And I think at this point, the hardcore boxing fan, like, we know Tyson Fury now. Like, we know what's talking. We know what's, let's fight for UK for free. Shut up. Next story. You know what I'm saying? Like that, we don't, that's like, we're smart about it anymore. Like, Tyson Fury can't catch us anymore. But if he wants to do, in the meantime, wants to go out there and do his exhibition, go to the WWE, go Dancing with the Stars, do it. Floyd Mayweather did it. Bring more eyeballs to the sport of boxing. So when you do fight one of the winners, more eyes are going to watch it. So I think at this point, if Tyson Fury don't got no fight, do it. Because at this point, to be honest, who you want Tyson Fury to fight?
Usyk. For me, Usyk.
Oh, we gotta wait for it. That's what I'm saying. On the meantime,
Exactly. So the winner of AJ Usyk, yeah, the winner of that rematch. That's who I want to see him fight. I mean, obviously the heavyweight division has a lot of good fighters, but that's the only fight we truly want to see. I mean, if Fury fought someone like Joe Joyce, we know it's not a bad fight, but that's not the fight we want. You know?
Yeah, I think he fought the fight that, if it's not a championship fight, it's the fight that we want to see, right? Dillian White.
Yeah, that's the only other fight that was really left, and he beat him way easier than I thought he would, which says a lot because I was very confident Fury would win that fight. I picked him to win it clearly, but not that clearly. That was easier than I thought it would be.
If Anthony AJ and Dillian White did 94,000, how much Anthony Joshua and I'm sorry, I said Tyson Fury and Dillian White did 94,000. How much you think AJ and Tyson Fury do?
Whatever the biggest arena they can get, honestly, because they'd probably fill out almost anything under $1 million. I mean, if we're being honest, I think 200,000, maybe even up to 400,000 to 500,000, they'd probably be able to fill it out.
I think I'll go out there, bro. I think that's the fight that I think I will fly out to London to go.
That would be an incredible scene because just the energy in the arena would be something else, something probably unfelt by 99% of people that live this earth, because that's a rarity. That's a rarity for sure. And man, if only, I'm not even gonna lie. If Usyk does lose, they better make that Fury AJ fight. They better not let the fans down. Because if AJ wins and Fury still retires, and I'm like, are you serious, man? Like,
that'll be bad. That'll be like Lennox Lewis, Riddick Bowe. Who else did it? What was the other fights that should have happened and never fought? It was Marquez Morales, right?
Oh, Marquez Morales would have been nice.
That fight never happened. So yeah, that would be a bummer, you know. That would be a bummer if that don't happen.
At this rate,
I even want to see Deontay Wilder and AJ too. I still want to see that.
Oh, fight. I would love to see that fight. I actually am pretty confident Wilder would get him, which is surprising because for a long time I picked AJ to win that fight. But the way Wilder was landing that right hand, even on a guy like Fury, who's not easy to hit, AJ gets hit by right hands. I see Wilder putting him away. I do, and I like AJ a lot more.
If Deontay Wilder gets AJ, if he gets that fight and he beats AJ and leaves retired with that win, Deontay Wilder, I think that he'll be up there. They're gonna put him up there in the Hall of Fames and stuff like that.
That would be the perfect way for him to end his career. I mean, obviously, in Wilder's world, the most ideal way is somehow he gets a fourth Tyson Fury fight and knocks him out, but we know that's not attainable. So the second best option would definitely be for him to make that AJ fight that everyone's wanted to see for years. That's a fight that we missed out on. You're talking about great fights that we didn't get. Assuming that fight doesn't happen, that would have been such a good fight. Imagine like 2018, AJ was like 20-0, 19 knockouts. Wilder was 41-0, 38-0, 37 knockouts. Both undefeated, both champions for undisputed. That would have been such a good fight. We really got robbed of that one. That's when we got robbed of.
People ain't going to like it, but you said, you know what I'm saying? It's not like I want to see Wilder and Fury 4, but if there was a full fight, hey, look what Marquez did to Manny Pacquiao. You never know.
It's true. But I do feel Fury did put a good stamp on that fight. You know, this time he actually knocked him out. I mean, the second fight, we knew he was going to knock him out. This time, first of all, it was a way better fight than the second fight, and he actually got the knockout victory. We do have to admit, though, that third fight was such a good fight. I mean, that was one of the best heavyweight fights I've seen in a while. Arguably the best heavyweight fight in the last 5-10 years, for being honest. I mean, the only fight that touched it really off of entertainment was AJ and Klitschko, but I still thought that Fury Wilder 3 was a little better.
It's like the build up to that, right? It's like, nah, I outbox you. Yeah, but you can't stop me. I did stop you, but you ain't knocked me out. I got knocked out. That's
exactly. Exactly. It'll always be crazy, and it'll always be ironic that Wilder at one point called Tyson Fury pillow hands after their first fight. So after he already fought him, and then proceeds to get dropped 5 times, or was it 6 times by him? I mean, Tyson Fury really did shut us up. And as crazy as much as I hated seeing people accuse Fury of cheating, you could kind of slightly understand the mindset, because you look at the first fight and you just look at the second fight, how he just brutalized him. That's unprecedented. I mean, I never believed those accusations, but it was unprecedented how much stronger Fury got with Sugar Hill. And I knew that he was only with Sugar Hill for a couple months before the rematch. I knew he was beating Wilder in the third fight because I knew he'd have even more time with Sugar Hill. And it was a great outing, a great fight. I do wonder if that will affect Fury in the long run, though, because he did take some big shots against Wilder. Do you think that can affect him potentially throughout his career?
Yeah, I think it affects everybody. It's just how fighters, adjust to it. So I don't know, man. It depends on the fighter. It depends on. He said Punch. Do you think Wilder's already? Yeah, I believe he's a Hall of Famer. What I mean, like for sure, is like if he's first ballot, second ballot Hall of Famer, things of that nature. I think, of course, he's a Hall of Fame in the heavyweight division. He tied with Muhammad Ali for the defenses. So yeah, he's a Hall of Famer. But I think for first ballot or maybe second, I don't know. Is he a first? I don't know. Is he a first ballot?
First ballot yet. I don't think it's first ballot yet. And the reason I don't think that. Oh, Freudian slip. Maybe I do because I accidentally said it. The reason I don't think he is a first ballot Hall of Famer is even though he is an iconic figure and he has accomplished some incredible things, specifically with his knockouts. If you look at it objectively, and people do this all the time with Triple G, so you got to do it with Deontay Wilder. What's his second best win after Luis Ortiz?
Stavern.
Yeah. If Bermain Staverne's your second best win, I will give him this. People don't know this. I was young, but I've been watching boxing for a while. I picked Bermain Staverne to win the first Wilder fight. And actually, I wasn't alone. A lot of people did. Because Staverne was a solid fighter. He was decent. And that was a decent and very underrated win. But if that's your second best win and you want to be in the Hall of Fame, it's not going to be the easiest route. It's definitely not. Yeah. Now, if he beats AJ, if he knocks AJ out and Luis Ortiz becomes his second best win, his case goes up a lot. And he actually gets to start to have some real contention.
No, yeah,
but until that happens, I personally can't put him first ballot. I can't. And he has accomplished a lot. And he's one of the most iconic fighters in recent history. So he'll definitely make one of the ballots, but I don't see him making first ballot, in my opinion.
Yeah. But with the Anthony Joshua KO, maybe. I think so.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if it's like a nice knockout. If he really shuts AJ's lights out, probably gonna have to give him then.
If it's like if he stops, let's say the Andre Ward and leaves like that with a knockout versus a credible opponent, boom.
Yeah.
I think he would be a first ballot.
Punch, I don't know this, so I want to ask you, what is your pound for pound list?
My pound for pound list? Man, let me see if I got my pound for pound list. Let me see if I could do it off the top of my head.
I put mine on Twitter, but I got to look at it because I can't remember it exactly. So I'll check it while you're saying
Let me see if let me find on my phone because I know I put it up. Hold on. Yeah, my pound for pounds be crazy sometimes.
Yeah, mine is mine always gets mixed, but I feel like the one I put out most lately has been more agreed upon than my previous ones. I feel like it's the most accurate that I've done in a long time. So let me find mine as well. Okay, I have mine. So
go ahead.
Let me know if you find yours.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. I'll you say yours. Let me find mine.
Should I start from 1 to 10 or 10 to 1? What do you think would be better? 10. Let me start from 10 to 1. So at number 10, I have Arthur Beterbiev. This is actually the first time I've ever had him on my list. Some people put him after the Vosdick victory, but I think now he's solidified, especially because I saw him in person. Number 9, we have Devin Haney. And the reason I have Devin Haney in my pound for pound list is I have a system to where if you're undisputed, you have to be in my pound for pound list, even if it's a weak undisputed run. So I have Devin Haney. And if there's 11 undisputed fighters, then obviously there's an exception. Number 9, Devin Haney. Number 8, Josh Taylor. He used to be a lot higher, but we know if the Jack Catterall, he gets bumped down. Number 7, Errol Spence. This is actually, I believe, the first time I've actually had Errol Spence in my pound for pound list, which is shocking, but I've said this for a while. His best wins are guys that Keith Thurman already beat, and that's a fact. And no one ever put Keith on their pound for pound list. After he beat Ugas, I had to put him in, though. Number 6, Dimitri Bivol. The reason he's not higher, because objectively it makes sense for him to be higher, he's only held one belt in his whole career. And if he unifies with Beterbiev, if he beats Beterbiev, he's probably top 3 at minimum. Number 5, I have Jermell Charlo. Jermell Charlo reached my pound for pound list when he drawed of Castano, which is weird because I thought he lost the fight, but the fact that he was fighting for undisputed and almost won it, plus his resume, put him on the list. But after the Castano win, he reached top 5. Number 4, Naoya Inoue, for obvious reasons. Number 3, Canelo Alvarez. I still have Canelo on my pound for pound list because he's accomplished so much, and he lost to a fighter a few weight classes bigger than he's supposed to, even though he has fought at 175. But I still have him on my list. If he does fight Bivol again and loses, he's off it, though. Number 2, I have Terrence Crawford, which we obviously know why Terrence Crawford should be on my list. And number 1, I have Alexander Usyk. I count heavyweights, which a lot of people don't do, but I do count heavyweights. I count heavyweights. So number 1, Alexander Usyk.
So this is my last pound for pound. I did think that I took somebody out or put them, you know what I'm saying? I have 10, Devin Haney, 9, Josh Taylor, 8, Shakur Stevenson, 7, Artur Beterbiev, 6, Errol Spence. I switched it on this one. So Canelo Alvarez, number 5. Number 4, Bud Crawford. Number 2, and number 1, Alexander Usyk.
I didn't hear number 3. You went for it.
I'm sorry, number 3, number 3, Jermell Charlo, 2,
Okay.
and Usyk.
It's crazy. We have the same 10, except I don't have Shakur. I do have him at honorable mention, though. I put an honorable mentions list. I believe I have him at either 11 or 12. He's very close, though. He's just off of it, just like Stephen Fulton's just off of it, just like Ioka and a few others are just off of it. But the one fighter that I had that you didn't have was Dimitri Bivol. You don't have him in your top 10 yet.
See, that's what I think. I took out Josh Taylor and put Dimitri Bivol, but
okay,
you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Then I'm like,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't, because he's still undisputed. He never lost the undisputed yet. He's dropping his belts, and I can't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, with that Jack Catterall performance, but still, he didn't beat. In my opinion, when I even saw the fight again, people were like, "Oh my God, it's a robbery." Nah, man, he did take like 4. I think he took the championship rounds as well for the last 4 rounds.
Whoa! We got Beyond the Ring with Nonito and Rachel. I've never had them in my chat.
Beyond the Ring.
Shout out to Nonito Donaire and Rachel Donaire. One of the best Filipinos we've had in recent history, for being honest. Shout out to you guys, most definitely. Giving us some great performances and some great fights. So thank you guys for tuning in as well. I was gonna mention something and I lost my train of thought. I saw Donaire in the chat. I lost my train of thought. I was saying something with pound for pound. We were talking about Fulton, Shakur. So anyways, if Josh Taylor defeats Jack Catterall so the first fight, first of all, I only had Catterall winning by 1 point. I had it 113-112 Catterall, and there was like a swing round or 2 that I gave Catterall. So this whole notion that it was this massive robbery, oh my gosh, it wasn't this massive robbery. Maybe the wrong man won, but there's a difference between a robbery and the wrong man winning. I mean, we've seen some robberies in the sport, some real authentic robberies. It's weird. I must be lacking sleep or something because I can't think of them off the top of my head, but there's so many robberies we've had in the sport. That wasn't one of them. But say he rematches Jack Catterall, and what I think will happen is I think the early rounds might be close. Taylor will adjust, and you'll stop him like the 8th or 9th. You got to put him back in your list. You have to put him back. And I'm not talking to you in particular, but I'm talking about the people that are like, oh, he's way off the pound for pound list. You got to put him back in the list if he avenges that, guaranteed.
Yeah, he's still on my list. He's still undefeated. He's still on my list. And the thing about Dimitri Bivol was, I'm looking past. That's why sometimes I don't want to contradict even my pound for pound. I never really gave credit for Errol Spence
me too.
In a pound for pound fighter in Mikey Garcia. I think he was small. He came up first time in the division, and I didn't give him all that credit. I didn't move him up or nothing like that. So Bivol, yes, he beat Canelo Alvarez, but then that's it. And I know that he's a smaller guy, so I'm gonna give you credit, but I still gotta watch what other people in the pound for pound list is doing as well. So I had while Spence was inactive, I had Stephen Fulton number 10.
Fulton definitely has a strong case as well. The reason I do put Bivol in, though, and what separates Spence and Mikey and Bivol and Canelo is Canelo did win a belt at 75. Yes, it was against Kovalev, who's out of his prime, and he did have issues, but he did win a belt at 75. He was number 1 pound for pound relatively clearly. And, Canelo, yes, in height, he's smaller than Bivol, but we know Canelo he gets big when he's in the ring. He wasn't much smaller than Bivol. So also Bivol did look really good in that fight. So there are a few factors that had to make me give Bivol credit, especially because he was the underdog too. I mean, I picked Canelo to win. I thought it'd be a very close fight. I picked Canelo to win. I did not pick Mikey to beat Errol. And, this may sound insane, but I actually picked Errol to win on points against Mikey, which no one in the whole boxing community did. Then last second, I said Errol by late stoppage and completely ruined the perfect prediction. But
see, it's hard because I'm thinking about, all right, let me put Bivol in, and I got to take out either Josh Taylor or Shakur Stevenson. But then Shakur Stevenson is almost the same thing. Like, he moved up. To collect the belts from Jamel Herring and Oscar Valdez. So he's a 2-division world champion as well.
For sure.
So it's hard. It's hard. I
want to give a quick shout out to my boy Andrew Tucker World for the donation. Thank you very much, brother. He says, much love and respect to the great Mighty Max and Punch Drunk. Great live, my great brothers. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much, bro. Much appreciated. Anyone who wants to donate. Thank you very much. Truly, truly appreciate it. Salute to you, brother. Thank you very much. Yeah, when you look at a pound for pound list, it's painful because this is probably the first time in a long time where so many fighters deserve to be on the list. I mean, we've always had times where fighters just missed the list, but this is one of the few times in recent years where someone like Shakur Stevenson in any other era, or not any other era, but any other recent year would be on the pound for pound list. But right now, it's so tight, it's so close, and better Biev beating Joe Smith, then Fulton beating Daniel Roman, then Shakur beating. I mean, these fighters who were just off the list are getting big wins back
Yeah.
and forth, and now it's getting really difficult. It's getting
So
really
yeah,
difficult.
it's hard to snub. But like, think about it. I used to have Ioka on my pound for pound list for a long
Me too.
time,
Me too.
and I had to
Me
take
too.
him out, but not because he lost. He ain't lose. It's just that everybody else is doing something greater. You know what I'm saying?
And
So
now
it's
we just avenged one of his losses. So now I'm like, I can't put him back in really, but it's hard to not have him in. Like, I feel bad not having him in. So that's why for one of the I've always been a believer in putting honorable mentions in lists, but I never really did it for pound for pound. But now I
do.
have to for pound for pound. Now I have
Yeah,
to.
I think it's. I mean, everybody, they do their own thing with the pound for pound, but I think it is because, let's say Estrada's now on my pound for pound because he's inactive. But
Yeah, I
when
had to
he's
take him off
active,
too. And that hurt to take Estrada off because when he beat Chocolatito, I believe I had him in like top 5, but then he started then he vacated a few times and then he stopped fighting. And then I'm like, okay, if all these other fighters are doing stuff and now his Franco fight, a fight that could have kept him there, if that fight gets canceled, then I can't really keep him there anymore. I mean, too many fighters deserve it. Donaire says he wants Ioka. I have heard Donaire mention that he wanted to move down in weight before, so that'd be a cool fight to make. I'd like to see that.
2 4-division world champions going at it.
That'd be good. I think Ioka would have to be very careful because Donaire's knocking guys out at 118, and if he could hydrate and make 115 comfortably, it'd be very tough for Ioka to take those shots. And I think we all know that. I remember a year back.
Is he reinstated?
Is
he reinstated? You remember he was going through that marijuana stuff in Japan?
Ioka? Yeah, he's back. He just fought recently, so yeah, he's good. And it was in Japan as well. I do remember I think it was a year and a half ago, I heard rumors of Donaire versus Chocolatito, and even though I wanted to see Chocolatito unified, that fight would have been crazy. Donaire and Chocolatito, I don't even know who I would have picked, to be honest, because that would have been such a good fight.
The winner of Estrada and Chocolatito, that could be the next for Nonito Donaire, man. That would be a great fight. That'd be crazy. That's a legendary fight.
And don't forget, we still got Jesse Rodriguez in the weight class. That's another great weight class, 115. But to be fair, 115 has always been a great weight class. It always has been.
Yeah, I think that would be a good fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about it. Chocolatito and Estrada they're gonna fight the trilogy. Do we even care if the belts is on the line? That's been the conversation, right? There's been the conversation of the last 2-3 weeks about belts. I don't think nobody, y'all. To be honest, I forgot what belt Mayweather and Pacquiao was fighting for. Like,
I believe they fought for 3. I believe it was all but the IBF. I believe the only belt that wasn't on the line was Kell Brook's IBF. And that's why a lot of people wanted to see Floyd fight Kell Brook, which, let's be honest, that fight would have been crazy in 2015 because Kell Brook was a killer back then. That would have been a nice fight.
Yeah, think about it. After the fight, they said, what's the possible opponent for Mayweather? And they said Keith Thurman, Kell Brook.
So I would have been down for either. I think we all would have been. We all would have loved those. Oh yeah, so Donaire doesn't want to fight Bam. Yeah, that's cool for sure. So he wants Ioka. Ioka and Donaire would be a really fun fight. Very winnable fight for Nonito because Ioka, he's a really good fighter, but he does have blatant holes in his game. I mean, he arguably lost to Francisco Rodriguez. I don't know if the Chocolatito fight's still on the table, but I would like to see him take on Chocolatito still. Estrada, obviously. If you need a nice fight that will get you ranked high in the sanctioning bodies, that is not a tune-up, but it'll be a respectable win. Take on maybe Joshua Franco, but he's also with Robert. I don't know why I said that. He just said he's with Robert. Yeah. He's also with Robert. I don't know why I said that. That would be a fun fight, though.
That'd be a good fight too. I just want the full 115. Maybe, yeah. I would like, if there's some couple fights, it's a lot of respectable fight, and I do think that he beats everybody in that weight division. You know what I'm saying? Other than I think he beats Butler. I think he beat Casimero. I think he beats.
I was picking him to beat Casimero when the fight was set. I thought he would probably knock him out in like the 8th or 9th because even though I do think Casimero was good, I did feel he had a lot more flaws than people were realizing, and Donaire definitely would have gotten to him. I mean, Donaire was looking like a real killer too because when he knocked out Obali, I picked him to beat Obali, but I didn't think he'd put him away in 4 rounds. I mean, when he put him away in 4 rounds, I was like, wow, because Obali was solid, man. He was a good fighter.
Yeah, undefeated.
Yeah, I wanted to see Obali fight Casimero. I thought that would have been a really fun fight when they're both champions. Thought that would have been a tough call for sure.
It's hard to be frustrated as a boxing fan. There's too many fighters. I think I haven't seen it this stacked up ever since I started paying attention to the sport of boxing. Like it's stacked up a lot of division: 122, 126, 130, 135, 140, 147, 154 stacked up. If the guy's actually fighting 160, like think about the champions on 160. These are marquee names, really. If you really think about it, even though there's fans out there that like to downplay Charlo and Andrade and things, but they're names. Oh, they haven't fought nobody, but you know who they are anyway. It's a big fight. Charlo, Andrade, Triple G, Andrade, Jaime Munguia. All these fights is good. You know what I'm saying?
You got Eubank still. Murata's still a decent fight. I still like to see Murata fight like a Eubank. Lara, I think Lara is one of the. He might be the dark horse of middleweight right now because assuming Triple G vacates, I mean Lara versus Munguia, I heard could possibly happen, and that's not an easy fight for Munguia. I mean, we saw what Jimmy Kilrain Kelly did to him, and Kilrain's a way worse version of Lara if we're looking at it objectively. So Lara's a dark horse. I'd probably say Lara's one of my favorite Cuban fighters right now, alongside of my boy Robesi Ramirez, who I'd also love to see take on some big. I mean, I think for Navarrete at that weight class, he doesn't have too many options. He's almost beaten all the top-ranked guys. He's beaten Dogbe already. He's beaten Joette. He's beaten a lot of these guys. He beat Christopher Diaz. So him versus Robesi Ramirez, that'd be a nice fight.
And Gary Russell's still not out the equation.
Exactly. I'd like to see. I posted after the Magsayo Vargas fight. I said, I didn't say let's make the fight, but I implied let's make Magsayo Russell rematch. Let's make it. Let's make Russell healthy because. By the way, thank you very much for subscription. Much appreciated. Thank you. If you're ever down to come on the channel, let me know because I'd love to interview you. I interview a lot of fighters. Let me know. It'd be awesome. But
yeah, man. Yeah. No need to rate you. Let's get that. Let's get that Mightymaxboxing interview. One of the best interviews.
Great. Definitely down the line. I would love to. I've interviewed currently 22 pro fighters. I have a few more planned, but I definitely have you guys skip the line and get some of those and get ahead of them for sure because that would be a great opportunity. But thank you very much for subscription. Much appreciated. But as I was saying, when it comes to Navarrete versus Robesi, I think that'd be a really good fight. I think I'm biased for Robesi. I've interviewed him. I've talked to his manager. They're a great team. I mean, they're all really good dudes. If anyone didn't know that already, him versus Navarrete that'd be a tough fight for Navarrete. He wouldn't walk through Robesi at all. He wouldn't. He'd have to work for that fight.
What do you feel? What do you feel about the Tank and Ryan? Do you feel like Devin Haney's getting snubbed being a undisputed? You think that the industry is snubbing his accomplishment?
No, I don't think he's being snubbed because they're not saying that Tank versus Ryan's going to be this fight to determine who's this amazing fighter. It's more of a fight between, if you look at it like this, every kid at my school, because I'm in high school, they always talk about Tank versus Ryan. It's a fight that a lot of casual fans are going to watch and a lot of hardcore fans. It's more of an entertainment type of fight. And let's be honest with ourselves. Devin Haney, he's a big name, but he's not a massive name yet. He's not a name that a regular boxing household will talk about. And even though he's arguably better than both, I definitely pick him to beat Ryan. It's all about marketability and who generates more. And even though Devin Haney does generate, he doesn't generate the way Tank and Ryan do.
And this is the sole reason why I say make statements, because if he does make the statements, then I don't think people would just be looking at the most lucrative lightweight champions is Ryan Garcia, because Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis. Like people even gotta remember this, that Devin Haney was the YouTube sensation. He was the social media sensation. Then came Ryan, and then came Gervonta Davis. So it's something that these guys did that skipped them. That you know, it's something that Tank and Ryan Garcia did for them to get the spotlight as this media sensation and who everybody want to see. It's because they made statements in the ring. They was exciting in the ring. They got highlight reels. We living in a world where it's 60-second reels. IG. Exactly. 60-second reels. You know, we got short videos now on YouTube. This is TikTok. So people want to see them highlight reels. So I think that Devin Haney just gotta make those type of statements, and trust me, he will not. People won't even. He will be in those conversations. He's in the conversation, but he will be on the top of the line. Like, oh no, this is one of the most lucrative fights as well.
Exactly. I agree fully with what you said so far. Frank the Tank said number 1 pound boxer. I said Usyk. Punch. I forgot who said number 1 was.
Usyk.
Who's number 1? Usyk. Yeah, Usyk's number 1 right now, and when you look at Usyk's accomplishments, and I know I sound like a fanboy, but the reason I like Usyk so much is I never was that crazy about him until I started to pay attention to what he's actually accomplished. Once I was like, hold on, this guy went undisputed at cruiser, and he's one belt away from going undisputed at heavy.
Mm-hmm.
He's the first guy to do that since Evander Holyfield. I mean, that's crazy. That is a massive accomplishment, and that he beat all these guys, all these champions in their backyards. I mean, it's incredible what he's done. And
look, it's different. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, hypothetically, and this is one of the toughest questions. I still don't know fully. If Usyk and Fury fight, and Usyk beats Fury, and Crawford and Spence fight, and Crawford beats Spence, who's number one pound for pound?
If Tyson Fury beats or Usyk beats Tyson Fury?
Yeah, if Usyk beats Fury and Crawford beats Spence,
I will still keep Usyk number one.
You keep Usyk? Here's the thing. I would make it would be understandable for that to still be number one, especially because of the history to accomplish. But the amount of stigma behind Crawford Spence is so high that if Crawford beats Spence, it's very hard to deny it. You know what I mean? Because it's such a talked about fight. It's the biggest fight in boxing right now off of hardcore fans, at least.
It's because we go by resume and performance. So yeah. Tyson Fury beat the guy that was portrayed the hardest puncher, not only in this era, but probably ever. One of the most powerful punches in the history of boxing. In Deontay Wilder, he also beat Klitschko, who he stopped like a rain. He stopped the era.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So that's big what Tyson Fury did. And then Alexander Usyk, undisputed, like you said, in the cruiserweight division. Then you know what I'm saying? He beat Anthony Joshua, another guy that's historically going to be Hall of Fame. These guys are being Hall of Fame type of fighters. So if Usyk beats Anthony Joshua again on a rematch and then goes and beat Tyson Fury.
Oh, then if he beats AJ again, then Fury, yeah, it's over. Obviously, he'd be above Crawford because that's too much. That's too many good wins. I mean, AJ twice and Fury is better than just Porter and Spence.
And we're talking about the little guy. The little guy is the one that's beating these guys. So if he will be beating a 6'9", almost 7 foot dude that weighs 270 pounds. Crazy. Then he beat the machine in Anthony Joshua, this big, twice. And he's just coming up to 2020.
Everybody undisputed at cruiser too. Here's what I said: if Usyk beats AJ again and he beats Tyson Fury, he's the greatest Ukrainian fighter of all time. He's better than both Klitschko's. I'm set on that. I'm set on it. Yes, their reigns were incredible. Yes, they were super dominant, but neither of them went undisputed because of each other, which is respectable. But neither of them been two-weight champions. They don't travel to their opponents' backyards. And they haven't pulled off that many upsets. I mean, most of the Klitschko's victories, they were expected to win. I mean, you look at the David Haye win, they were supposed to win that fight. The Pulev win, the Shannon Briggs the Chisora win. They were supposed to win those fights. They have some good wins for sure. And they both have incredible reigns. But neither of them have pulled off what Usyk has pulled off.
Yeah, I'll still keep him number one. I mean, that's a tough, that was a good question. That's a tough one. But I still got to go with Usyk, man. It's tough.
Well, yeah, if we're counting I was saying more if the AJ fight didn't happen, he'd just be Fury, then it'd be close. But if he beats AJ and Fury, yeah, it's no contest. It's definitely Usyk.
Okay, what win to you is bigger for? If Bud beats Spence or Spence beat Bud, like what that win is more for their career? For who is it, you think?
It's really tough in the aspect where I know what I'm going to say, but when you look at it objectively, if Crawford beats Spence, he's a 2-weight undisputed champion, which is incredible. But if Spence beats Crawford, he beat 4 champions to become undisputed, which is a super strong undisputed reign. If I had to go with one, if I had to edge out one, because it's very tight, I would say Crawford. 2-weight undisputed champion defeats going undisputed by beating 4 separate champions, even though it is close.
Yeah. I think he's coming with a great momentum with the Earl Spence fight because stopping Sean Porter, I predict that Bud is outbox Sean Porter, but I did not predict that he's going to stop Sean Porter. That's something I didn't see.
I had a gut feeling he would. For the longest, I picked Crawford to beat Porter on points, but when the fight got set, and I just thought about it, and I thought hard about it, I'm like, Crawford's a real puncher at welterweight. He's taking everyone out. Porter, he only fought once in a year, 2 years. He got dropped by Spence. He's starting to get dropped a little more often, Broner than Spence. Something told me Crawford was also going to look to make a statement. And when he stopped him, and what made the stoppage impressive too, by the way, is that Porter was keeping the fight really close. And I believe he actually won round 9 too. So Crawford, he was up on the cards, but it was tough. He was really having trouble. and his corner told him he was losing. I don't think they believed that, but they almost used it to motivate him. And to begin round 10, boom, down goes Porter. That was a very underrated victory. People don't give Crawford enough credit for that, especially because Sean Porter, in my opinion, most people disagree. I thought he beat Spence, but he at least arguably beat Spence. And for Crawford to TKO him, it's impressive. It's a good look for sure.
Yeah. So, but I got Usyk.
I would favor Usyk as well, specifically because that AJ win would be very, very impressive. And honestly, this is going to be a real make or break for both fighters, because if AJ loses to Usyk again, he's still a big name, but his aspirations of being the top guy, they're pretty much done, especially if he loses clearly to Usyk. And if Usyk loses, it's going to be tough. He's older, he's up there in age. Eddie Hearn hasn't beaten these fights.
I think even if he loses to AJ, it's not bad. It's not as, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's where he started his career, and he fought in the amateurs. What was it, 168 most of his career? So
like that,
so he's been the little dude coming up and beating the giants.
I will say this though, if Usyk win, lose, or draw against AJ in a rematch, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer for me. Has to be.
He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, if you already went undisputed in cruiserweight and then beat Anthony Joshua, and and if he beats Tyson Fury, even if he has a good fight and loses a close one, some picking Jerron Ennis to beat both Spence and Crawford now.
I've seen that. I don't think he does yet, but I will say this. I do think a prime Boots Ennis, when he's in his peak, will be a better fighter than Spence and Crawford. And this is coming from a big Crawford fan.
I think so too. But to beat him now, I think he's ready, but I'm not gonna say beat. Like, I found a lot of respect. I've learned to respect way more the skill set of Earl Spence. Like, I really thought he was gonna be a basic fighter. You see when Floyd Mayweather said to Triple G or spoke about Triple G saying that he straight up and down on special effects. Yeah. Looking at Earl Spence, what I'm saying, he's basic, highly basic. He don't do nothing out of the ordinary. Fundamental, he's just fundamentally sound. He throw the 1-2,
good power, good chin.
Yeah. I didn't think he was gonna be this good though.
Yeah. Errol has dog in him, and I mentioned that earlier, Shakur. What's taken him so far is not just his ability; it's his dog, it's his toughness, he digs deep. Errol, he can dig deep. He has mental fortitude, and that's what saved him, especially against Sean Porter, because that was a fight that he easily could have lost, he easily could have given away, and he pushed hard. And even though, as I said, I thought Porter won, he did enough to where most people thought he deserved the victory. So for me, if Boots fights Spence, it'd probably be a very close fight, but Errol would probably edge it on points. If he fights Crawford, what I think would happen, I've stuck with this for a while, is Boots would look really sharp early, he'd be up on the cards, and Crawford would dig deep and get a come from behind knockout victory. Because Boots opens up a lot. Crawford would hit him with something big. That's what I think would happen.
Yeah, that's what's up. I got. It's gonna be a tough one, man. It's gonna be a tough. I like it though. I like at least these people was talking about it. But I think that people need to don't skip them just yet. I would like to see a Boots Ennis and the Virgil Ortiz, how they're gonna do with Thurman. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I want to see how they're gonna do with Ugas. I hope that, I wish that he would have, that maybe Garcia was still in 147 to see those type of fights as well, to really see, because Boots Ennis and Virgil Ortiz are going to make a huge jump. You know what I'm saying? From who they fighting right now, and then they fight a Bud or Spence. That's a huge jump.
For sure.
To who they fighting. But I think they skillfully prepared and ready for that fight.
I agree for sure. They have the ability to take on those guys. I mean, those guys are some of the. I know Boots is now 25, but for their age, they're so developed. And I've said this for a long time. Smoking 200 grams says Speedy Rashidi is back. Thoughts, please. Oh, Speedy Rashidi is a good fighter for sure. I've been watching him for a long time, since he knocked out Gomez the first time. I don't think he's on the level of Boots and Virgil though. I really don't. I've said this for a while. I'm not even sure if he's on Stanionis, or he's probably on like Stanionis and Ben's level, but I'm not even fully sure he's on their level. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think he's on that level yet. Or not yet. Yeah. He's not on that level, in my opinion.
He's a good fighter, though. He's
but I think Stanionis, I don't know about Stanionis' defense look kind of,
Yeah. Here's how I view Stanionis' defense. His guard is extremely tight, and he has a good chin, but he has no head movement. If a guy throws a punch and Stanionis doesn't counter, they're going to hit something. They may not hit his face, but they're going to hit gloves. They're going to hit his arms. It may squeak and bleed through the gloves and arms. his defense is shallow, and I do see him losing to the elites of the weight class. But I do like Stanionis. I'm actually a little surprised he beat Butayev. I actually think Butayev probably has a slightly higher ceiling, just because he's so physically imposing in the ring. I mean, I would love to see Boots fight Butayev. That'd be a fun fight. Boots versus Butayev, because Butayev will come forward, he'll get physical, he'll get rough. Boots will have to push himself to put Butayev away, because he's no walk in the park.
Yeah. Well, what's the other guy in the welterweight division in the UK? What's his name? Marco? Is it Marco what? I forgot his name. They was linking him up with Conor Ben. Conor Ben and Josh Kelly.
Oh, Florian Marku.
Yeah. What do you think about him?
He's very marketable. My second most viewed video was on him, and I think every person that's made a fight review on Florian Marku, that's a big account, and I'm guilty of this as well. They probably didn't even care about the fight, but they know it's going to get great views, because everyone, I forgot, is he from Albania? He's Albanian, right?
I think so. He's Albanian. I think
every person from Albania is watching Florian Marku videos. So to any person who has a YouTube channel, unboxing, or wants to start one, and you want to get some quick viewership, when Florian Marku fights, make the quickest fight review possible, and it's guaranteed you'll get a minimum 10K views. Guaranteed. So I do like Florian Marku simply because of that. But when I watch him fight, he's not on Conor Ben's level, obviously. I mean, he's not on. He's not a bad fighter. He's sharp. He has good defense. He's flashy.
He's a little tough.
Yeah, he's marketable. I would be down to see him fight Conor Ben, but he's not on their level. He's decent. I don't think he'll become a champion, but he is a respectable contender. That's how I look at him.
Yeah, I think I like the UK circuit on that one.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for the donation, by the way, Enrique Luna. Shout out to you, brother. One of my OG supporters. Much appreciated, bro.
That's what's up.
Yeah, he's a good fighter, Florian Marku. Yeah, me too, MB. Every video when I make, and this is no disrespect to him, but he fights guys I've never heard of. But when he fights, I'll do it because I know that's guaranteed to get good views. And I'm not a guy that's like, oh, I need to get views. But when it's Florian Marku, I mean, you got to give me some slack. I mean, that's guaranteed. I mean,
I know this, man. Let me see. I did a video of me thinking about, okay, I'm gonna do this guy. I got some views. I don't know.
You got it. For Florian Marku, you got a fight review.
The best. I'd be happy when I get views. Let's say when I talk about the women, when I'm talking about Savannah Marshall and Clarissa Shields, or when I'm talking about when I did the interview with Shadeja Green, or I talk about Amanda Serrano. I think for me those are like the more accomplishing, because I know those are the hard ones to have successful views. So when I get better views on women boxing than I get with Anthony Joshua content, I'm like, you start understanding that you are a wide range unbiased boxing. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And I made some mini documentaries about a month back, and those videos take a lot of time because I have to edit. It's a lot of editing. I think I'm pretty sure you've seen one or two. I remember.
I remember.
They take a lot of editing. They take a long time to write. It's a whole process. It's if you do it in one day, it'll probably take 4 to 5 hours to fully edit and post. And when I get good views for those, so my Broner one got a lot of views, my Jermaine Taylor one, a few of those good views, those felt rewarding because I actually felt like I earned those views, Yeah. And those videos get longer watch time, which is also more crucial. So, of course, that's what it's all about. It's more rewarding. Of course, the fight reviews will get you a lot of views, but let's be honest, 95% of people watch our fight reviews. If they don't know you already, they see the thumbnail, they think it's the fight. They'll press on it. They'll be like, oh, he's talking. They'll exit the video. I mean, it's what YouTube boxing content creators have to deal with, but it's the game. You got to play it. I mean, it's unfair, but
what you feel about the game? What you feel about the game? What you feel about this game? If it's a game, I don't know.
My main thoughts on the game is it's really just you have to work smarter. Not work hard, but your brain is the most important thing. You have to be clever. You have to be smart. I don't like people that clickbait, but I don't dislike them as much as I used to because I see why they clickbait. I mean, I don't clickbait, but I understand it, I understand, especially if, say you're someone who's not doing well financially and you need to make some extra money and you clickbait. I mean, if you get 1 million views, that equals about $2,000 of monetization. I mean, you got to understand. I understand it. I mean, I'm not going to be like, oh, good job, but it's circumstantial. It's circumstantial. It's the boxing YouTube community is very interesting, man, because what I do like about the videos you can make is one video could just blow up. I mean, you can make all these fight reviews, they'll get a few thousand views. Then you make one fight review that gets 50,000 views. You're like, wow, that came out of nowhere.
I think it also depending on the purpose of why you're doing the video or the channel. You know what I'm saying? I think people will catch on to what's real. You know what I'm saying? And
Of course,
it is what it is. And you gotta be clever with the thumbnail. You know, sometimes is a little story or some. Look, how many times do we do a video off a tweet or off? You know what I'm saying? Sure. So we trying to make saying that, oh, this was Earl Spence. That's what he meant. Like people, I see people make the video with Earl Spence and Keith Thurman. When he said, when I said never, I meant it. Oh, he's talking about Keith with Tom Thurman. So nothing in the tweets, anything about, you know.
It's funny because you're right, because when I made a tweet a few months back saying Caleb Plant versus David Benavidez, who wins, and it kind of went crazy because Plant responded to it, and then Benavidez responded and then put it on the story. Yeah. And a lot of people made videos, and even a news article. I don't remember which boxing news article. One of them put it up, and they didn't even give me credit for it, which really got me annoyed. I mean, I don't like that. That's unnecessary. I mean, all it takes is one little line of just saying the user was this, but whatever. They do it all the time.
Funny, bro, you know what's funny? That you ever check the setting to see if anybody copy your video?
I don't even know that. I didn't even know it's a setting.
There's I don't know. Is in the setting or something like that. I don't know. I forgot where that, but I checked. I checked it last week, and I saw boxing content creators that took part of my video and put on this. Ego. I see you been looking at my. I see him in like 3 videos.
I don't talk bad about people, but he blocked me over nothing. So we already know no one respects that guy. I'll say that much. No one respects him.
I'm not even saying like this, but I'm just saying.
You don't have to say it, but I'll say it. No one respects that guy. That's
TV took. I see. I like because it shows you, and it shows you who if you want to report.
You have to show me that. I'm gonna message you later. You have to tell me where to find it, because now I'm a little curious, because I have used fight footage in the past. I don't mind if they use the footage, but if they start like using sources and using extra, that's when there's an issue. You know.
Yeah, I don't get a lot of the sources, and when people don't mention. I like to mention where I got my information from, you know, especially.
Yeah, of course. If a news article, say Boxing Scene, says, oh, this fighter called out this fighter, and they're the only article I've seen post that, I'll say, you know, Boxing Scene, Jake Donovan, whoever wrote the article, I'll quickly mention it. Or if someone made a video, so say you make a video and it's like an interesting topic, and I make a follow-up video inspired by that video, I'll say, oh, Punch Drunk, I saw Punch Drunk's last video, it inspired me to make this video. You know, little things like that, you know. It helps everyone out. My boy BT, True School Sports, I don't know if you saw, he was in the chat way earlier, a really big prominent name used his literal interview of Demetrius Andrade way back with him talking in the background, and they put it in the video and they didn't tag him. You literally hear him in the video. I mean, really ridiculous stuff, man. Really ridiculous stuff on here.
Like, just give the credit. Like, he's still gonna get views.
It takes 5 seconds. It takes 5. It doesn't have to be the greatest thing. You can just say, oh, shout out to just the footage is from True School Sports. You don't even have to say. You could put it like the lettering on the video. But no, people, I don't get it, man. That's the issue with the community, and that's the issue with a lot of communities. I mean, how much more united would we be if we did little things like that, right?
Yep. We could be. I mean, there's groups out there that's united that people like to critique. You know who these groups are. But and at first, you know, people use, yo, you gotta go after them. Yo, you gotta debunk what they. Nah, man. At this point, I'm like, nah, man. They got their subscribers. They got their supporters. They're united. Let them do what they do. You know what I'm saying?
Here's my stance. If I don't like these communities, what's the point of talking about it? What's the point of bad-mouthing them? What benefit does it have to anyone to badmouth it? I mean, if you truly don't like them, why are you talking about them so much? That's my stance.
I mean, sometimes it sends whatever. It could be you. You could send a wave. You know, your opinion could be viral, right? And it affects and it reaches boxers. And I think that's what it is. I think it happened to me too as well. When you start having a relationship with the boxers, and then they know that your message or your video reaches them and they're gonna react towards it, they're like, Mighty Max pop. Mighty Max. And that's when the real envy comes in. You know what I'm saying? But you know, let's say right now, no need to Donaire, legend in the game. Okay, he got his ears on Mighty Max. You know what I'm saying? So now people are like, now you got responsibility because you know what? The
Mhm.
actually warriors that put their life on the line is listening to you now. Now they gonna
Exactly.
be like sitting back. What he's saying about? Oh man, this kid don't respect us, or he respects us. You know what? We're gonna show him. We're gonna show him love because he respects
Exactly.
what we do for a living. You know.
So I want to ask you, there was another fight I wanted to talk to you about. Now that you mentioned people know you, I know that I remember seeing that Jermell Charlo has acknowledged you before, and I know that Jermell Charlo knows about you. And I'm a Charlo fan, so I got to ask this fight. And I know that you are biased, but that's understandable. I mean, we're all biased for guys that we talk to, obviously. But what do you think
Mm.
about Charlo Tim Tszyu? I mean, you see him knocking him out, you see it going to full 12. You think it's a tougher fight than people realize? What's your thoughts?
I like Tim Tszyu, and I know the only reason why it seems like Charlo's gonna have an easier night is because what happened his last fight with Tim Tszyu. But that was Tim
Yeah,
Tszyu fighting over here. That was I think what was his first time in a long time, or
first
probably
time
his
in
first.
America. Yeah,
Yeah, so he had to adapt to the hours, the food, leaving your family. Like people don't think that is
atmosphere.
yeah, people don't think that that's major. It is because as a fighter, you want to be as comfortable you can be so you could go to war. So I didn't think he looked special. He looked very beatable compared to if he fights Jermell Charlo. And I think that Jermell Charlo, especially now that he's working with Joanne Guzman, and he's looking more elusive and he's putting these punches together, and his movement and his
Mhm.
punching power off the back foot, or when he's approaching you, like he's beating you now in every way. He's looking like a very smart fighter, very disciplined on defensive end, got a chin. Like at this point, Jermell Charlo, he's grown so much as a fighter compared to what he
Oh yeah,
was before. Remember, before he wasn't this massive KO artist. You know,
of course. Yeah.
he's one of the few fighters that's grown substantially from the amateurs to the professional level. Sometimes a lot of these guys are succeeding with their amateur skill set. Gervonta Tank Davis is succeeding in his amateur skill set. He has not put no new tools in the toolbox. It's like he goes to training camp to sharpen up the tools that he already got, but not elevating his game. And we could see it. We're seeing he's getting tagged. We see that he looks the same in certain things. So again, it's just a few fighters, Canelo Alvarez, Bud Crawford. If you would have seen Bud Crawford in the amateurs, I don't think you would have been like, damn,
He
I
wasn't
think
that good. He wasn't. He was 58-12, which isn't a bad record, obviously. But
he
for a
wasn't
fighter on
special.
Crawford,
Yeah, he
for a
wasn't like
fighter at Crawford's level, you would think he'd be like 110-4 or something like that. He was 58-12. He was above average, obviously, but he wasn't a top cream of the crop in the amateurs at all. And look at him now. And then you have fighters that are the opposite like that, where they'll go. I mean, Adrian Broner, yes, he was a great pro, but his amateur record was actually shockingly good. I don't know if you know this. He was 319 in the amateurs.
no, I was talking about that on
Yeah,
my rant. Like, like when I was talking about even Javante Davis and Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia has over 200 plus amateur bouts. He's
yeah,
not this
exactly.
washed up guy. Oh, Devin Haney will beat no, they split up. The last 8 count of Devin Haney's amateur career was Ryan Garcia giving him an 8 count. Like this ain't no wash
Yeah,
up dude. He got what is it 11, 7 national world, 7 national
something crazy
titles.
like that. Yeah, exactly.
Like this kid could fight. These guys could fight. They've been fighting each other. They've been fighting elite, or they've been traveling to Pan American Games. Some of these guys and all these tournaments around the Caribbean and stuff like that. So they're highly prepared. So with Jermell Charlo and Tim Tszyu, at right now the way that Jermell Charlo is fighting, I think Tim Tszyu he ain't going. I think it's going to be like if 116, 112 Jermell Charlo.
I could see that. I could definitely see it. I mean, we know Tim Tszyu's no scrub. He's a guy that's going to come to win. He's a warrior. He has that warrior spirit like his father, and he's arguably, I'm not going to say he is, but he's arguably the best son of a top fighter in boxing. I mean, it's between him and Conor Benn, and Tszyu's accomplished more so far. I'm looking forward to this fight, and I am picking Charlo to win. I'm not sure if he'll knock him out or not. I think I'm edging that outcome, but I'm not confident of it. What I do like about Jermell Charlo is I haven't heard him talk much about moving up, and I'm actually happy about that because there's so many fights at 154 I want him to do. After Tszyu, I want to see him fight Sebastian Fundora. And after that, I want to see him fight the winner of Tony Harrison versus Danny Garcia, assuming that happens. Those are 3 great fights for him, and 3 fights where, assuming he wins all 3 of them, will really build up his resume. I mean, let's say
I
hypothetically,
think he'll move after this one because
it's I think deep down I think so too, but I hope he does. As a fan, I'd love to see, just like I'd love to see Josh Taylor stay at 140 as a fan, because there's so many fights that for Taylor and Jermell that can be made if they stay at their weight class.
But that's also what I think. What how I feel about the community, that they don't keep it consistent. Like we hear it all the time. The criticism of let's say PBC or any other promotional company. Jermell Charlo and Tim Tszyu, that's PBC. They be putting us. That's a great event. You know what I'm saying? That's a great fight. And a fight that Jermell Charlo really could, what he could do, actually drop the belts and move to 160. He could easily do that, and nobody will really critique him because he's undisputed. But that's a good risky fight to defend the undisputed. Like, who's defending undisputed right now?
Exactly. That's why I'm happy about it. I mean, I will give Josh Taylor and Usyk, I believe, are the only fighters in recent years who had a defense for undisputed. And Usyk had one, and Taylor's attempting his second. So Crawford moved up right away. Canelo moved up right away. I mean, he's gonna fight. He's fighting at 168 again, but you know what I mean. I mean, his next fight was moving up. I can't remember. Devin Haney is actually defending it, which I will give him credit for that. But it's not common. It's not common, and it's partially because of us fans. I mean, we all want to see them move up. But let's be honest. Unless it's like cruiserweight when Usyk cleaned it up, we want to see these guys have a few defenses here and there. And before we continue, let me just give a quick shout out to my brother, Real American Fan, for his donation. Thank you very much, bro. Much appreciated. He said Gary Antoine Russell will beat some of these superstar boxers and break them down like he did Ennis 3 times. He's a J. Cole of boxing with 40 division. He did beat Ennis. He's the only man to beat Boots Ennis ever, because Ennis has 3 amateur losses and they're all to Gary Russell, which is really strange. He went like 62-3 or something really good like that. But he is a good fighter. I'm looking forward to seeing what he'll do in the future. Thank you very much for the donation.
I didn't see the whole the entire last fight, but one thing I do critique in Russell, even Gary Russell, the same thing, is that they fast hands, love their skill set, but once you throw enough fastballs, somebody's gonna catch up. Somebody's gonna
exactly.
They're gonna catch you in between the shots. So I think that what I saw about Gary Antoine Russell is mix the speed up. You know what I'm saying? Not everything got to be hard and fast. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
3-punch combination, two taps, and then boom, the third one comes, unexpected. It's going to hurt. And I think that's what's maybe happened when he was Postal. And Postal, I think if he was a little younger and his reflex was better, I think he would have done way better.
Well, Prime Postal fought Crawford and Matisse, that would have been a way different fight.
It would have been a whole different fight. But because he's throwing everything at the same speed, that's why Gary Russell and Lomachenko is not that he was faster than Gary Russell, is that his timing was better. He was hitting him in between the shots. And if you just working me with the same speed, I'm going to catch up to that. So I think that Antoine Russell got in my opinion, great offensive, but I think he should mix the speed a little bit, not throw everything. Same thing with Conor Benn. I think Conor Benn don't have to throw everything hard. Not everything got to be like you're trying to hurt the dude. Mix the punches real well, because a good defensive counter puncher takes this little slippy minor seconds. Because to throw those power punches, it takes you longer to guard up. So
exactly. And if you look at the Russell Barthélemy fight, you haven't seen it, but I do think you'd be really interested in it, because he was getting very frustrated, Russell, because before Barthélemy started to slow down and tire out, he was predicting almost everything Russell did because he was fighting at that same pace. He looked very predictable. He got frustrated. And another thing for Russell is his defense was not very good. He was getting hit a lot. He was going in straight lines a lot of the fight. It wasn't a great performance, for being honest.
I gotta see that. I gotta see it. Then there's
yeah.
But you know what's good also, but that's why I feel for the boxing fans who understand also the story. First time his father's not there.
Yeah, it's true.
So the instructions, it might be the same words from his brother, but it's different. You know what I'm saying? You might not be as disciplined when your pops and you're looking at the corner and your pops is telling you something. Is kind of different from when your big brother's telling you something. So see, I'm a fan that I like to even think about that. Tony Harrison. When I saw Tony Harrison the last fight, I'm like, damn man, how he's going to fight without his dad. I even forgot to even do the analysis on technical side, but how is it? His mental state, where is it going to be at?
Yeah, exactly.
First time his dad not in the corner. So
I think they're going to do that, MB. That's what I predicted. I think that'd be really fun, Russell versus Akhmedov or Puello. I do want to mention, I actually did get the honor of talking to Gary Russell's father about 2 years back, because I have had Gary Allen on the channel, which it's kind of rare, because he's kind of like Bigfoot, like he's kind of hard to find. Gary Allen, he's mysterious, but I had him on there. It was great. And before that, I talked to his father on the phone. His father was a really good guy, so rest in peace to him. Good dude. And you could definitely see that Antoine it wasn't the same Antoine as it was in the past. And I hope he can bounce back. And yes, he won, but I hope he could really bounce back and really be the monster he was before, because that Giovanni Santiago performance was I mean, that's a guy arguably beat Adrian Broner. He made him look like an F-level fighter. I mean, he looked phenomenal. He looked really good that fight.
But that's good. You know why? Because every fighter goes through that. Even the legends. You know, Muhammad Ali said his toughest opponent was George Chuvalo. You know
Exactly.
That was the toughest opponent. That was the toughest fight. He said that. So it's you know, they get those fights. Like we ever look at every fights, the archives, you know what I'm saying? When people get Keith Thurman got dropped in his second, third pro fight. Teofimo Lopez had an 8 count. Remember? I think that was his first fight.
I remember that. Yeah, his first fight he got dropped. That was crazy. That was really crazy. But it wasn't really a knockdown, but it was ruled a knockdown.
Yeah, so there's been struggle. Floyd Mayweather wasn't easy fighting the Drunken Master. You know
I remember that.
So it wasn't
Triple G versus Adama, another one. Was it Adama? Uma, not Adama. Kasim Uma. Triple G versus Kasim Uma. That was another one. Canelo versus Jose Cotto.
And Lara, right?
Yeah, but to be fair, we did expect Lara to be a tough fight, but I know where you're coming from for sure. Canelo actually had a lot of tough fights early in his career. I mean, he had a draw, he had a few split decisions.
Then he got buzzed up by the Dominican
Jose
guy?
Cotto,
Yeah.
Miguel Cotto's brother. Yep.
Yeah,
so Canelo had that. Usyk had a few tough fights early in his career too, but I don't remember who they were against. They were like when the 8-rounders, 10-rounders. A lot of these top fighters have had some tougher fights. I mean, Crawford Gamboa, that's a guy that's, Gamboa now, I mean, guy's fighting 130, 135. Crawford's all the way at welter. So, things happen. Some fighters rise up.
Lomas and Salido, even though that, people felt like it was a robbery, but it's not that. You never know who's going to give you that type of looks. That's going to give you
push you like that. Yeah, for sure.
Have for Manny Pacquiao.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I remember. Even though we all thought, or not all, but most people thought Pacquiao got robbed, including myself, I didn't think Horn would give him that type of fight. I mean, no one did.
Yeah.
And that's what pisses me off. Why no one gives Crawford credit for absolutely destroying Horn, like schooling him and then stopping him. I don't know why people don't give Crawford as much credit for that victory. I think that's one of his most underrated wins.
To be honest, when I look at tapes, Jeff Horn was tough on Pacquiao. Like people got to look back on that.
Yeah. Sure.
There was some headbutts, but if the referee's letting it go, then that's the style of that fight. It's not the fans be like, "Oh, he's dirty." No, if the referee lets that pace go by, then that's for the fighter to identify what type of fight they're fighting. It's almost like when, Kenny Bailey's always breaking up when Floyd Mayweather get clinched. Okay, so now Manny Pacquiao, whoever's fighting, they gotta adjust to the pace and the style of the fight.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they call the referee the third man in the ring for a reason, and I don't know if you saw, but we had Steve Willis reffing. I think it was the Danny fight.
Yeah. He lets it go. He let everything go.
I love Steve Willis. He's awesome.
My favorite ref. Put him on every championship fight.
He should. He always does. Shout out to my boy Dirty Red, 40 donation. He's always coming up clutch for us. He says, "Do y'all think all this stiff competition is good for Gary's development, or should he get a layup next?" No, he needs to keep it going. He hasn't fought anyone too crazy, which is good. He hasn't fought the Ramirez's and the Zepedas. As MB mentioned, as I've always thought, Batroc Madoff versus Alberto Puello winner would be perfect for him. I don't know if you remember Batroc Madoff Punch. He's the guy that, in most people's mind, beat Mario Barrios, and it was on the Spence Porter undercard. They gave it to Barrios.
I remember. That's why that was the fight that I'm like.
Yeah, that's a good fight for Gary. Him versus Batroc Madoff, that's a good fight. And if he beats him, that's an elite win. Like, that's a solid victory. So, yeah, keep it up. Don't put him in if like Ramirez or anything crazy like that, but keep putting him in if like these borderline top 10 fighters at 140, and he'll keep developing.
I think enjoy the journey. You know what I'm saying? Enjoying the journey of the fighter is a career at the end of the day. Like we always say, we want to see the best fighting the best. Man, look, everything is a journey. We want to see the best fighting the best. That means we want to see Earl Spence fight Bud Crawford, and then the winner retires or the loser retires, because we want to see the best fighting the best.
Exactly.
Every career got their 4, 6, 8, 10 rounders. Got to fight the veterans, get the veterans out of here. It's everybody goes through almost the same thing, Lomachenko is a whole different type of story because of his experience, but everybody really, their career is really the same way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's fast more than others, but it's pushed the same way.
Similar format where most of the time you'll see a fighter. It could be more extreme with Loma and less extreme with the average fighter, where they'll slowly but surely keep fighting tougher and tougher and tougher opposition until they actually get those title fights. And you know, that's very crucial for a fighter, because what if Gary was in there with as I keep using him because he's the easiest analogy to use, a Jose Ramirez type of opponent, and he's getting caught with these shots, he's getting timed, he would have lost easily. Now, the fact they put him with Barthélemy, he was able to get away with it, and he'll grow from it, and when he does fight someone like Ramirez, he'll be much more prepared for it.
The Erickson Lubin thing, you know, put him at 21
yeah,
years old, and then he's
that.
in position, and then he get knocked out. Now he got to fight 5 times to get back in contentions, and then he's back, right? And he's been fighting what, like three eliminators, WBC final eliminators to become mandatory, and then he's still in position to get a rematch, and then he loses. Now he's back.
So yeah, it's unfortunate. I really wanted him to beat Fundora, not because I dislike Fundora, but I just like seeing Lubin, the comeback of Erickson Lubin, and it was derailed, but he that was an amazing fight. I mean, his stock didn't go down in losing that fight much. And, you know, I remember when he was set to fight Jermell, I was so excited for that fight. And I think we all were. I was picking Jermell, which not everyone was, but I thought it'd be a close decision. And when the fight ended that quickly, I was like, oh, come on. I waited all this time. I was so excited for this fight. And then Jermell just put him away with a shot that we couldn't even see live. I mean, live, I thought it was a slip. Then I see him not getting up. I'm like, what just happened?
But shout out to Lubin too, man. Shout out to and Coach Cunningham. You know, he's cool. He's cool. And shout out to Sebastian. Man, that was a good fight though.
Great fight. Who should Lubin fight next? I think I was gonna say Terrell Gausha, but I just realized he fought him already. Sergio Garcia. I don't want to see him fight a guy coming off a loss. I don't want to see Sergio lose again.
I think because what the WBC did to him, in my opinion, I think they should give him a fight that still has him in position, because I think they did him dirty.
Yeah.
You know,
they put him in a guy that was very high risk. I mean, it's understandable, but he arguably should have already had a title shot. I mean, he was ranked number 1 for a while before that fight, and you know, he was at times that fight he was on pace of winning, but Fundora is he's a wrecking machine. I mean, he just doesn't stop. And when Lubin would gain some momentum, gain some ground, Fundora would keep throwing, keep breaking it down, and you saw Lubin's face after a fight. He's going to need a good year out the ring, in my opinion. He's going to need some.
I say give him Brian Castaño.
That's a tough fight for Lubin. I think Castaño would send them back down the rankings, in my opinion. I got Castaño winning that. You think Lubin pulls that off?
He a banger, man. And I think that's what, in the end of the day, I think that's what they've been, because I went to the gym to work to see him work out. I did a video over there, and had interviews with him multiple times, and with his coaches, and what he expects or what they're working on with Erickson Lubin. And the thing is, they want him to box more, because we already know he a slugger, and we're trying. And Cunningham was explaining to me, we're trying to get him out of that mindset of slugging. He always goes back to it, and that's what happened to the Fundora one. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
So if I see him slugging it out with Brian Castaño, I think it'll be an exciting fight, though.
Oh, for sure it would be.
That'll be an exciting fight, but I think he's taking enough punishment, and people got to remember, you know, Castaño has a great amateur background as well. So he's a pressure, but an effective pressure. You know, different pressure. Like Sean Porter has a pressure, but half the time is not effective. But Brian Castaño is a dangerous fighter.
Castaño is very seasoned. I feel like that would be what takes him over the edge in that fight. Is he's very seasoned, very experienced in the pro and amateur ranks. He's in my opinion, which this isn't even said often because Lubin is so well rounded, but I actually think he's even more polished than Erickson Lubin. So I would pick Castaño to win that fight. It wouldn't be a walk in the park. It'd be a tough fight for Castaño. Probably be a close decision if I see Castaño win that fight. I'm really not sure what should be next for Erickson Lubin. I mean, a lot of these guys are tied up with fights, and I mean, Tony Harrison would be a nice fight, but Tony's probably going to fight Danny. I mean, Lubin versus Danny Garcia would be a nice fight. I think Lubin would win it, but we've seen Lubin get hurt by lesser punchers. But Lubin versus Danny would be a good fight as well. Yeah.
That'd be a good fight. I mean, it's 154. You mix a match, it'll be a good fight. How about Patrick Teixeira? Did he recently?
Oh yeah, he lost to Magomed Kurbanov, which disappointed me because I think Kurbanov is. I thought he lost to Liam Smith, but you know, it's kind of funny. We began the stream talking about Danny Garcia. We go full loop. 2 hours later, we're back talking about Danny Garcia. That's crazy. That's just boxing. I mean, that's just how it is. But when we talk about how about Lubin Kurbanov? I mean, he's ranked super high in WBO. Let's make that happen.
Yeah, that's a good fight too. That's a good fight.
Yeah, Punch. I've been here for 2 hours. It's been great talking with you. Really enjoyed it. It was really an honor to have you on here. Can you tell anyone who somehow doesn't know where to find you, where they can find you on YouTube and
I already know Punch Run Boxing YouTube channel, Punch Run Boxing .net website, Punch Run Boxing IG, Punch Run Boxing TikTok. I even put a video where Crew de Jean she got shot. What how you call it? Starstruck by no need to Donaire. I got it a video. Nobody's seen it.
I gotta check that out, man. Well, yeah, thank you so much for coming on. It was great talking to you. Have you on someday in the future as well. And
yes, sir.
It's been a pleasure, man. Have a good one, man.
You too, my brother. Peace out, everybody.
Peace, brother. See you guys. It's been awesome talking with you guys. And peace to everyone in the chat. Thank you to everyone for the donations. I can't remember every person who donated. Enrique Luna donated. Red Dog donated. Real American Fan donated. If you donated, let me know because I can't remember everyone, but I appreciate it. Dirty Red donated. Red Dog and Dirty Red. It's kind of crazy. And yeah, that's all I got to say. Peace to everyone in the chat, and I'll see you guys later.